Oh my God. It worked. It somehow all worked. Hi, anyone who may happen to actually be tuning into this at the beginning. Welcome. I have never done this before in my life. This is baby's first stream, as you might call it. And I had not practiced. I don't think practiced is hi, Enerjax. You are officially the first person in this chat. So thank you for that. Your plaque or your medal or something is in the mail. It's in the mail. But I set this up so many times. I did so many test recordings. And even though I am a person who considers myself, pretty competent with technology, like my lizard brain set in and I was like, when I push those buttons, is it actually going to work? Like, will all the things happen that I've tested over and over again and, recorded and all these things? So shockingly, it was pretty smooth. The YouTube stream had a couple little hitches. I had to apparently go in a dashboard and push a button, but then it connected and everything. So if anyone ends up watching this on YouTube, hello. I had to take a couple extra little steps for you. You almost knocked over your DSi. Were you was it perched precariously on some sort of object or something where you got the stream notification and you just jumped out of your chair? You were so startled that you knocked over the DSi. Mid Dr. Mario. Okay. Well, that makes sense. That's pretty on brand. I feel like you might have maybe not more hours in Dr. Mario than in Tetris at this point, but you do play a lot of Dr. Mario. Anyway, so first stream, I want to kind of take this a little bit easier on myself and not do something too ridiculous or too ambitious. So anyone who has watched the 1 Million Power YouTube channel, I guess there are a few things you could know me for, but to my estimate, there are probably about two. One of them is probably side-scrolling beat-em-ups, and the other is possibly the R360. We're not going to do anything with any R360 games today, what few of them there are. Maybe that's a future stream. Figured we'd start it nice and easy. We'd start it out with beat-em-ups, and we'd focus on some of the early ones from the 80s. I'll get right out in front of this right now. Final Fight will not be making an appearance tonight. I would love for Final Fight to make an appearance on the stream at some point. It is a really difficult game, and learning a 1-credit clear for that is probably among the hardest 1-credit clears I've ever tried to learn. I'm still not consistent at it, so that can's gonna get kicked down the road a little bit. But there will definitely be some familiar faces here tonight for anybody who's been keeping up with scrolling down the belt over the years. By the way, me starting streaming here corresponds to the channel's kick the can clear. God damn it. Why didn't I don't know. They might come after me for that, but I came up with I can, you can, 1cc, and I'm like, gosh, should it have been kick the can clear? Oh man. Anyway, this is just about the 2-year anniversary of the channel. It's like March 21st or something like that. That first episode of Scrolling Down the Belt was posted. So we're close enough. We're in that general territory. So as an anniversary present to the channel, I guess we've started our streaming that I honestly really meant to start a year ago. So funny how time passes like that, but it happens to us all. I feel like we all have that project that we've meant to start but just never have, right? At least I do. So let's see if we can push the right buttons to get the things going and start playing game. Not games, game. Ba-boom. And ba-boom. So, I am going to reset this guy here. So we're starting out at the beginning, as I am wont to do. Like I said, we're starting back in the 80s, and this is Spartan X if you're in Japan, or Kung Fu Master in the West. This came to arcades around 1984. I believe it came here in like 1985. So it's really dangerous to say, it's really dangerous to say on the internet anyway, that something was the first to do something, right? Because someone will always come out of the woodwork and be like, well, actually, this game on the, this game you've never played on the Commodore 64 or something was the first to do this. And fine. But people tend to agree generally that this was the first beat 'em up. This was by IREM. And it came from the mind of a guy named Takashi Nishiyama, who's like super important to games in so many ways. But, and we'll get to why those ways are. But before this, he designed a game called Moon Patrol, which was also an IREM game. I believe that was like a 1982 game. Some of you may know Moon Patrol. It was not a beat 'em up. You were piloting a little ship on the surface of the moon and jumping over craters and shooting falling stuff. So very different kind of game. But this was the next game he worked on after this, and he actually left IREM before this game fully released, and he moved to Capcom, where he released games like Section Z, Trojan, which is very much a beat 'em up. We're not going to see that tonight because Trojan is also a really difficult game. Legendary Wings, and a little game you may have heard of called Street Fighter. Not Street Fighter 2. That was different people. Street Fighter 1, the one that nobody likes, or at least nobody likes to play because it feels like it came out about when it did. So given that after that he moved to SNK and he directed Fatal Fury 1 after that, as well as produced a bunch of other Fatal Fury and KOF games with SNK after that before he moved on, you can really say that beat 'em ups were kind of responsible for fighting games, which I think is not a huge stretch, right? And after that, he formed a studio called Dimps, who ended up being the developer of Street Fighter 4. So it's this weird circle that all kind of comes back around, right? All comes back around to beat 'em ups, fighting games, whatever. And this is a licensed video game. And what is it a license for? It is a license for the Jackie Chan film Wheels on Meals, which was also known as Spartan X in Japan. So it was not licensed here, but it was licensed in Japan. And so I guess this is Thomas, but I guess he is supposed to be a version of Jackie Chan. Though honestly, I kind of feel like this is a little bit more like Bruce Lee's Game of Death, ascending a temple and all that, than it is anything that happened in Wheels on Meals. But whatever. Oh, Ted Bob 84, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. And I forgot we need to put the name of the game we are playing in the banner here. Again, hiccups, things that will happen. Oh, see, look at that. It appeared right above the machine. I also wonder how long it's going to be before my own alert stops scaring me. Enerjax, welcome, even though you were already here. You get to see Lovin' too. Oh, there's our first goal achieved already. That was quick. We have Arino sort of exclaiming about yatta, etc., etc. Oh God, no, please don't. Please don't make them louder. All right, so we've got the game up here. We're ready to go. We're going to put in some credits, and I'm going to do my best to continue to multitask and do all these things that I am not used to while I am playing video game, like looking at chats and all these other things. So we're going to do it. It's going to be great. All right, and you can tell me as we go on what the volume levels are like. Yes, read this while play that. Do all the things, multitask. I'm purposely keeping myself above the gameplay volume, and the gameplay volume in this game is a little bit low anyway. But if at any point you ever notice it kind of just being like wildly out of balance, just let me know and I can change things around here. All right, here we go. The Devil's Temple. Here we are. With the Children of the Devil or whatever those guys were. Okay, so we got punches and kicks. Thomas can do it all, really. Punches are worth more points, but we don't really use punches too much because the range on them kind of sucks. And we just like to kick things, especially... And basically the guys with knives are sort of your worst enemies because they can throw low, they can throw high, they can also do it all. And you gotta kind of guess what is happening. Oh, and I got real lucky there as I'm trying to manage chat. Hello, hello. Little Turb or Professor Jones. Hello. Oh, you're a fan. Thank you so much. Violent Storm is... I'd have to look at the schedule to say for sure, but Violent Storm is definitely on it. And it is coming. I am also looking forward to Violent Storm. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, and we got our first boss, Man with Stick. So pretty much the strategy with a lot of these bosses is you just kind of jump in on them and spam, and you call it a day. One thing worth pointing out, though, is like here in 1984 when this game came out, is like bosses were not a given. Like you were like, oh, I clear a screen. And I go to the next screen. It was not a given that you were going to end up fighting a boss. So we got snakes that we need to jump over. We got dragons that we need to duck under, which can, oh god, especially when they hit you in the head with that, like that can be a little bit rough. All right, I am screwing this up about every way I could possibly screw it up, which is wonderful. Okay. Oh, Chibi UFO. Thank you. Appreciate it. And I appreciate you tuning in as well. I have to admit, I did not expect this many people for the first stream. Oh, God. Okay. All right. This is what happens during live play. So we're gonna try that again. I've cleared this game a ton of times, but of course, the first time you try and do it in front of other people, you fall apart on the second level. So that's about how I thought it was gonna go. Oh, thank you for following. Welcome. Yeah, I think the NES, yeah, there is, most people probably know this for the NES port, I would imagine. I know that was certainly my first time playing this was the NES port. And I think the NES port is actually a lot easier than this. We'll stream the NES port sometimes just because it's a real kind of easy breezy clear. But I feel like the arcade version just has that little bit extra level of challenge to it. That I really appreciate, but God knows when I was a kid playing that NES version, I could not make it past the 4th level. I'm pretty sure it was also one of the first NES games I had as well. By the way, this is a 4-way joystick, so if my jumping is a little like stunted sometimes, that is why, because you weren't really meant to jump that easily. There's a little bit more delay compared to the NES version? That might be true. It's been a little bit longer since I played the NES version, so I don't quite remember like exactly how responsive it was by comparison. And these dragon guys have a crazy hitbox, like you can get right up on them and you basically can't touch them at all, as you could see there. And I headbutted that instead of jump kicking it, which was very nice. Okay, we're almost out of the snake zone, I think. Almost, not quite. I believe when we're past this marker now, we're back to regular dudes and not snakes and dragons. And we have little guys here too, which, oh my goodness, this is, when will you stop? Oh my god. This is like the hell situation to be in, because like you have a knife guy on one side of you and you can't respond because of the traffic on the other side. So it just ends up turning into absolute madness. And we got multiple. I have never seen 3 dragons come up in a row like that. I am fairly certain. All right, come on. We can get through it. We can get through it. And I mean, ideally, you don't just want to let yourself get held up on like these rows of guys, right? You want to keep kind of. Oh, for God's sake. All right. I also feel like I get way maybe luckier with my random snake and dragon placement here when I'm doing this on my own, but I don't really know like what the RNG is as far as how these guys appear. I do not think they appear in set patterns like the moths do in the upcoming levels, though. All right, now maybe we can actually make some kind of progress here. But yeah, music, pretty much the same. I mean, obviously it's going to have a little bit of an NES flair to it. All right, we have Man with Boomerang here now, and we just... I got hit by his boomerang, but that's okay. I should be able to soak that damage. Oh my god! Oh god! Oh, wow. All right. Oh, thank you for mentioning Retronauts too. I feel like I've been guesting on that a lot more recently than I have in the past, and I'm glad that they like having me on so much. And yeah, we definitely get Trojan thanks to this game. I mentioned it earlier, but I will not be playing Trojan tonight because Trojan is a whole lot more difficult. I have really not figured out that game yet. And one day I would like to. Again, the NES version, like really a lot easier for Trojan as well, I feel like. So maybe that was just a Takashi Nishiyama thing, like all of his ports. I mean, he didn't work on the ports, so at least so far as I know, but all of the... Yeah, that is nightmare situation right there. A knife guy on both sides of you. You kind of have to hope that they throw the same height at the same time, or else you're just kind of screwed. Yeah, all the Retronauts folks coming out. You love to see it. All right. Okay. This guy is just like shutting me down today. What is... What are hitboxes? How do they even work? I don't know. And I don't think Spartan X knows either. Alright. This time. Yep, too early. Oh my goodness. Okay. It's like I've never played this game before, honestly. It's just embarrassing. I feel like I remember being able to actually punch those dragons, but you really got to get up in their business. You really got to kind of get right up on them to be able to land a punch. It's kind of nuts. All right, no more snakes, no more snakes. Just regular people, please. All right. getting to those knife guys basically as quickly as you possibly can. All right. Oh my god, thank God. Oh yeah. And honestly, if I'm being honest about it, Kevin is oh yeah, here we go. This laughing part on the NES version kind of scared me a little bit as a kid. Not like to where I would like go hide or something, but like it freaked me out. Kind of like people get about, you know, whatever, like the Return of Ganon or whatever on. Yeah, exactly, right? It's very like Ganon is returned or the Return of Ganon or whatever it said in when you get a game over in Zelda 2. It's that deep booming like sinister voice. But yeah, honestly, probably the reason I'm on Retronauts as much as I am are mostly Kevin, and I'm grateful to him for that. Oh my god. Sometimes I feel like he invents episodes to have me on, which is always fun. I've been on a lot of Diamonds episodes as well recently too, which has been great. Love being able to do that. All right, which direction? Oh no. Oh god. Okay. Good lord. Okay. We at least got to get to Mr. Clean here. Sometimes you just like to try and like outrun these guys to see if you can make it to the boss before they catch up to you. So they just leave. That guy didn't leave, but in this guy, Mr. Clean here, you just kind of do the same tech really. Yeah, there we go. And nope, you're not gonna catch me. Oh, Kevin, hello. Thanks for tuning in. So I guess now I know my combined YouTube and Twitch chat is working, which is excellent. Yeah, Twitch recently changed their policies actually to allow, oh god, to allow chat to be combined, which was previously against their terms of service. So the timing there really just kind of worked out nicely. Because, you know, we've all probably been in those streams, right? Where, like, somebody's doing combined Twitch and YouTube, and, like, you can't see one side of the conversation. All right, let's see if my trick here works. It's very inconsistent, and I read this on a Japanese forum. So this guy is the hardest boss to deal with. I read that you lure him back to this pillar, and you wait about 10 seconds, and then you walk forward. This strategy has been pretty inconsistent for me, but what's supposed to happen is that the one he spawns behind him is the one that throws the fireballs. Yes, so it's working. Because when you have him in front of you, he throws all kinds of stuff at you, and you can't do this and just beat the ever-loving crap out of him and have him be completely helpless. So, that guy is the wall. And that is how you get past the wall. Though I swear I've had times where it hasn't worked. I feel like there's still some kind of a random element to it. But last stage, and I don't think I have any more lives. But this is where they... Yeah, you're supposed to be able to jump up and anti-air those guys like that. Ah! All right. But I mean, you gotta kind of be ready to do it, which is the tough part, right? Because there's no guarantee of when they're gonna do it. Oh no, this is not. Okay. All right. We are almost there. Oh, nope. Oh my god, oh god. All right, I did have another life that I got there at some point, and just an endless parade of these guys. Yeah, I mean, if they ever did remake this, they definitely could stand to make it actually look more like the thing that it was supposed to be based on, right? God's sake. Don't throw low. Don't you do it. Okay. All right. Come on. All right. We've got to be close. Come on. And then the problem is sometimes when you anti-air them like that, you get grabbed by the next guy. So it's like you... All right. This is Mr. X. So his trick is that you get in on him and you make contact with his body. And he has this thing where he can't, like his AI doesn't know what to do. And that's it. And we get to rescue Sylvia. I was convinced I was going to get another game over there, but somehow we pulled through. Yeah, and I don't know if anybody noticed, but Mr. X especially, his health was regenerating. His health was regenerating as you went on here. We won't do a second loop, since we already had to game over a couple times. But yeah, for those of you who haven't played a lot of old arcade games, yes, for a little while. A little while meaning like, what, 5 seconds? Maybe? But for those of you who aren't as familiar with arcade games, like a lot of them just looped. So sometimes you were lucky to even get an ending. Like you could definitely consider that to be an ending screen, right? Like you had some sort of a conclusion there, right? But in some of them, it's just like you get nothing and you loop and you do the levels over again, and like more game is your reward. So this one kind of has a little bit of both, and I guess you're just supposed to keep looping. I'm not big into let's just loop over and over and over again. Like it can be fun a little bit, but I mean, unless it's a game like Space Invaders or something where like the loop is the game, right? Like there is nothing else but just going for score. But like I'm sure there are people who play Kung Fu Master for score. I am not particularly one of them. So after each one of these games, there's something I kind of want to do here to make this stream maybe a little bit more unique, because you can come to a lot of channels to see one credit clears of beat 'em ups. Lord BBH learns games way faster than I do, and probably better than I do. So I want to do something to kind of set this apart for people. And if you're at all familiar with my videos, then you will know that I like to look at Japanese game magazines. And so I want to kind of do a little bit of that after each one of these, just so we can see what the reception was for these and kind of how they did in the general arcadosphere. Is that a word? Arcadosphere? So what we're looking at here, and I'll actually go back up to the top for this. We are looking at, I will make this bigger. We are looking at Game Machine, which is sort of an industry publication. I don't believe it is around anymore. It is an industry publication, and so a lot of it, if we go kind of back up to the beginning to start here, is pretty dry, articles and things like that. Here it is, Game Machine. This one's from January 15th, 1985. So we're not going to sit here and translate this or anything like that and put you all to sleep. But some of these are fun to look at, if nothing else, just to see a lot of the ads and things too. Because you will, trade people read this, right? So arcade operators and things like that would presumably read this to kind of get an idea of what was coming up and what they need to order, right? So you get a lot of really interesting advertisements for games that you've probably never heard of. God knows that I've never heard of a lot of these. Gives me an absolute wealth of stuff to try on stream at this point, such as like this, Jalico's wonderful horse racing game, one of, approximately 10 million Japanese horse racing games, probably even that have come out in arcades, not to mention consoles. Jockey Gate Inn, which, boy, I sure don't know, but that is sure some art of horses jumping over whatever you call the obstacles in a horse racing course. And you get some ads also, of course, for stuff that maybe you know a little bit better. I am not familiar with the Data East game Liberation, but maybe you are. Jellicoe did give us dancing horses. That's true. And speaking of, the other thing that I find very, very fun about these magazines is you get like advertisements for like the kids' rides, right? Like we had these here. So like you could even see these at like the grocery store, right? Like a simple version of this what was a horse that you would put, a penny or a dime or whatever into at a grocery store, and a kid would just be sitting on top of the horse riding around, right? Wow. And so you get to kind of see what some of the Japanese versions of those were as well. Yeah, the horse, right? It's funny. I don't know did everybody have them at their grocery stores? Was that a thing at grocery stores for people? Because Ubersaurus will know this. We have the grocery chain all over. It's not only back in Michigan called Meijer. And the one that I went to growing up, I think maybe all of them had, I think it was back then, it might have even been a penny, like a brown, even then beat up like mechanical horse that you would just get onto and ride. An adult game dev riding a kiddie horse in the mall thinking jockey game. Yes. This is what a jockey game is, finally. And I mean, some of these, if we look at them, right, they're about what you'd expect, right? Like these little kids like riding in the ship. And again, here's like an actual horse. But then you have Space Soldier, like this big robot. What is he doing? I don't think you're riding on him, right? I'm not really sure where he kind of comes into this. Yeah, the penny horse is a staple. It wasn't the Meijer that maybe it was the Meijer that I originally went to. I can't remember, but I know it is still there. Maybe you do get inside him. Let me see if I can, like, does it show? Oh yeah. Okay. I was a little too zoomed out, so I couldn't see, but yeah, maybe everybody can see it better now. There is a child riding inside of Space Soldier, which I don't know. I kind of want to do this now. I'm not going to lie. Is there an age limit on Space Soldier? Can you, are you ever too old for Space Soldier? Let me zoom out a little bit here. Okay, control. Oh, God. All right, hold on. I had a malfunction. Give me just a moment, folks. Give me just a moment if y'all are still there. I had my taskbar go to some insane size. And to be honest with you, I'm not really sure how it happened. Okay. All right. Good Lord. All right. We're trying this again. One more time with feeling. And I am not going to get too aggressive with my zoom-ins, apparently, because Windows seems to have interpreted that as like me just wanting to enlarge the entire operating system, which is absolutely not what I wanted to do. Space Soldier for my next video. Oh man. Golden Lighton's cheap cousin. If I can somehow track down a Space Soldier, you're on. Let's just put it that way. All right, where did I leave off here? All right, there's Space Soldier, so we're somewhere around here. I do want to do a video on Cosmo Gang, Cosmo Gang the video, which was based on Cosmo Gang, like an arcade machine attraction, which I found a place in Atlanta that has a Cosmo Gang. And so one day that will be my excuse to go back to Atlanta again so I can film for that. But Space Soldier might be a little more difficult. We'll have to see. All right, so skipping through the boring stuff. We got other stuff, like we got 1942 from Capcom, which would have been coming up right about then. We have SNK's main event, which is apparently a dual lever game. I have never played SNK's main event, but and I don't think Galloping Ghost has main event, shockingly. Southern Fried Gaming Expo. That sounds like a thing that they would hold in Atlanta to me. I would believe it. And you get some other stuff here. You get international amusement news. You get bigger sort of attractions here, like Super Derby. I don't know if anybody's been to Japanese arcades and seen kind of more modern versions of these. A PNG2 model of me riding the Space Soldier. Oh, God. And basically, half of the fun for me is looking at these. And I mean, they have pinball tables. I am not a big pinball guy. So someone who knows their pinball history better than me could probably be like, oh, yeah, that one. Oh, yeah, that one. I know the Spy Hunter video game. I did not know there was a pinball of it. I have no idea what a black pyramid is, but these are all Bally tables. So even in Japan, they're advertising them as Bally tables. And so we're getting down here to the rankings and all sorts of various parts and table cabinets and all this other stuff. An ad for Konami's Bubble System. And here is what we came for. So Game Machine was a publication that published once every 2 weeks. I can never remember if that's bi-weekly or what. I'm one of those idiots who can never keep the terminology straight there. And they do a ranking. I presume this is based on sales, though it does not actually say here whether it was based on sales, but I don't think they had reader voting or arcade goer voting or anything like this in Game Machine. That was more of a Gamist thing, and we'll look at Gamist a little bit later. But they would do a ranking, and they would divide this by cabinet type. So you've got Teiburugata Terebi Gameuki, which is, you would call that a cocktail cabinet in the West, though there are some small differences between what a Japanese call a table cabinet and what, Western people call a cocktail cabinet, but they're essentially the same thing. And then you've got uprights and cockpit games for like your more advanced sort of machines, your ride-on machines and things like that. And we've got flippers, which must be pinball, because you've got these companies that are associated with pinball like Gottlieb, and we just saw a pinball machine of Black Pyramid from Bally, right? So that's under Flippa. So I have not had any conversations with a Japanese person that involved pinball, so I do not know if flipper is a term that is still in use, if it was more of an 80s thing and they just call it pinball now, or what. But it might be a good question for me to ask. Okay, so Next Level Pinball near Portland has Black Pyramid Pinball. And actually, Galloping Ghost, embarrassingly, I haven't been to it, but Galloping Ghost has a whole outbuilding specifically for pinballs. But every time I go there, I just spend so much time in the arcade part of it. Oh, Hooded Patooey, welcome. Thank you for coming by. Appreciate it. Baby's first stream. We just got through Spartan X / Kung Fu Master, the arcade version on 1 credit after a couple of game overs. And so what I like to do after each of these games is I like to kind of take a look in some of the game publications about kind of where they sat in rankings and what people thought of them. Because you can watch a lot of streams to see people play arcade games probably way better than me. So just a little something to set the stream apart. And so it was number one. It was number one back in, I believe this was January 15th, 1985, in the rankings above some pretty heavy hitters, to be honest. And so you can kind of see here when it is just a dash, this is like that game's first appearance into the charts. And so everything else below it, this was like the previous position that it held. So like Ninja-kun was 8th and the 2 weeks before and fell down to 10th here. So, I mean, you had this coming in above like 1942. Excite Bike made an appearance in here. Pac-Land, Load Runner versus System Tennis, everybody's favorite arcade game versus System Tennis. Star Force, really some pretty heavy hitters for the time. And I've got to assume that Xevious has just been on this list forever. And so is by this point, and so has just been kind of floating around this entire time, right? Because I mean, if you look at it, games don't normally move this way. So like our two outliers, like the Tower of Duraga and Xevious, like those came from below this list. So 30 and 39 back up to 24 and 25. So if nothing else, that's like, it shows the staying power of those two games, right? And like how long they stuck around in arcades for. And I don't think you have some stuff that people would recognize in uprights, right? Like upright cabinets at this point, like in the 80s in Japan, were not super common. They are now, of course, but I think back then a lot of them were the more table style ones. And so something being in an upright was something of a treat, I guess. And so you have like your punch outs in an upright, you have your Ninja Hayate-kuns and things like that. You're have both pole positions. And things like this. The Atari Star Wars game is on here. The sit-down Monaco GP is on here. So like stuff that was imported as well. Fun stuff. And yeah, there's actually, I was going to point this out as well, making it very obvious as to what the source material was, right? You've got the Wheels on Meals / Spartan X ad just in here, just kind of telling you exactly what it is. He's on the arcade. The arcade flyer, I think, is basically just this or some version of this. Like it does actually have Jackie Chan on it. And the Famicom box for the Japanese version of the NES game has like a cartoon rendering of Jackie Chan on it. So they make it a little bit more obvious. But I mean, if you were to just put a quarter or, 100 yen coin or whatever in that game, would you know? Like, say for the title, like the sprite doesn't, I don't think, even particularly attempt to look like Jackie Chan, right? So I don't feel like it's obvious from the gameplay. Anyway, so it did really well. It was an arcade hit, and it kind of just invented the beat 'em up genre. And to kind of close out the magazine here, we got an ad for Ninja Hayate-kun. You can kind of see the upright there. Fairly similar to our uprights, I guess. And I forgot that at the beginning, they actually did some articles in English at the end of Game Machine. I don't know if this is because arcade owners in America were like importing these, or I don't know if they actually distributed them here. It doesn't seem like they would have distributed them here because it's hard for me to imagine at that point, like people in America would have like been too crazy about reading a magazine that was mostly in Japanese, right? Oh, Fight Club, welcome. Thank you. Thanks for stopping by. We just finished Spartan X Kung Fu Master on 1 credit. And we were just kind of taking a look at this issue of Game Machine, where they declared it number 1 on their ranking back in 1985, January of 1985, just to kind of give a little bit more context to the games we're playing here. So yeah, and you finish it off with them talking about how Nintendo's Famicom, Fami-com, invades Japan's family. Just the one family. Yeah, this chat this chat is 80% Retronauts now. Oh my gosh. You're not kidding. Yes, what a family we are. We have some Retronauts listeners in here who were kind enough to comment on how much they enjoyed the episodes that you and Kevin have me on. So thank you again for that. And yeah, Com invading your family, it's just it's a pain for everyone, right? Really. And this one kind of confused me because like, whoop, hold on, we'll get to that in a second. Sega intends to establish a subsidiary in the US. Like, didn't that already happen? I'm not a huge Sega historian. Like, I don't know a lot about their early days. There are people who are way more well-versed about that than me. But they started out as an American company, and at some point, probably by the 80s, it had, sort of started moving over from Japan over to Japan. And so I guess at some point I don't know if they killed the American offices and then brought them back, or it just seems strange to me that we would end up with that as a headline. And then I had never heard of this game, but I was very amused by the name Super Don Quixote. The much needed improvement over the original Don Quixote, really. Yeah, and Fight Club is pointing out when David Rosen passed away, which happened really pretty recently. There were articles detailing the complex history of the companies that became Sega as we know it today. So it may, yeah, and there's a They Create Worlds podcast, maybe even more than one, about this that really goes into it in great depth. And that's probably a good thing to listen to if you're interested on that early history of Sega, but it hasn't really burned into my brain. And so I can't quite reason out from nothing why they would have suddenly have been reopening an American branch again. Super Don Quixote, are they, I wonder if they have Super Don Quixote's, the store in Japan, like they have a Super Target. I don't think I've seen one. But missed opportunity there, I guess. All right. Enough magazines. We are going to get on to the next game. Okay, so there's Mega Don Quixotes. Okay. I wonder, I feel like I've only ever been in a couple of Don Quixotes, ever. And I don't know what the size rating on the ones that I've been to has been. Mega Donkey, yeah, of course. We love ourselves a Mega Donkey. All right, let's see. I want to load up the next game here. All right. A Mega Drive joke. Yeah. Is the store key? Yeah, that's a good question. I'm so used to seeing it written in katakana that I'm not actually sure. Does it have a food court? Does a Mega Donkey have a food court? That's a good question. And how, if so, we have probably at least a good couple of people who there's a non-zero chance that they've eaten in a donkey food court. So like the next question, even though I think I already know the answer to it, is how is the food? All right. So then how is the food? Is the question that now must be answered. All right. So English website says Quixote, Quijote. So there we go. That is our canonical answer to the Don Quixote versus Don Quixote question. All right. So I'm going to let this roll while we talk a little bit about what this is here. So, we're fast forwarding now to, from 1984, technically, to 1986. So about 2 years have passed, and there were some beat 'em ups in between these, right? This definitely was not the next beat 'em up in line, But a lot of what we had in the middle were sort of derivative of Kung Fu, right? To where you had a guy moving either to the left or right on a single plane, and that's what he was doing. He was punching guys, right? Yeah, we got some hot-blooded high schoolers here because we had a company called Technos Japan release Nekketsu Kouha Kunio-kun, which translates into something like a hot-blooded tough guy Kunio-kun. The main character's name is Kunio. So Kunio-kun. This is from Technos Japan, 1986, like I said. And the figure involved in this one is a guy named Yoshihisa Kishimoto. He started out at Data East, and he worked on some of their early Laserdisc games like Cobra Command and Road Blaster. But he wanted to make a semi-autobiographical title about his life. So according to Kishimoto, who is still with us, he's just obviously much older, he got into a lot of fights in high school and went to a real rough and tumble high school to where fighting in the streets or in the schoolyard or whatever like this was not unusual. This is what he says. And he pitched this to Technos Japan. Maybe he was looking for a career change or something. They accepted it, and so he came on board with them. And so he wanted to make a game that was faithful to the experience of the fighting in the streets that he did in high school. And of course, he loved martial arts films and all that, but we'll see that come through a little bit more in some of his other games, right? This did come to the West. We'll take a quick look at how it came to the West as Renegade after this, but I really like the Yankee, I guess you would call it like a Yankee, what's the word that I'm looking for that I'm blanking on? Like tsukpari, I think, aesthetic that this thing has, and so much Japanese media, especially of that era has, you know, these kind of like high school tough guys who are just like beating the ever-loving crap out of each other for fun. The manga Crows, for example, if anybody knows Crows, that's like, or, you know, Bebop High School or things like this. I'm not sure exactly what the first one was. Yeah, exactly. The Fight Club is saying like, yeah, Bebop High School came out the same year. I figured it was kind of around that time frame. Crows was definitely a little bit later. But Crows was the first piece of media like that I read, and I kind of got hooked on it from there. Technos had a branch in Portland in a city called Beaverton for some reason. That's interesting that they, I wonder how many American offices they had. Like, they were definitely responsible for some hits, and as we'll see, they definitely had some stuff that was popular in the West. But it's interesting to think that they would have justified a Western presence based on that. All right. So did he pitch the game idea or threaten to beat up the staff and shove them in lockers? Maybe both. Maybe that was his pitch. Like his hyper realistic pitch for this game was showing them what would happen if they didn't accept it. All right. So we're going to get started here. This one gets a little bit tricky near the end too, but we're going to do our best. The controls in this game are real weird. It's hard to explain this on stream, but you have directional attacks. So like I cannot face left. Well, I can face left and attack, but it's always a kick. Like I can't punch behind me. So, and then you have to hit a punch and an attack to do a jump kick. I'm getting smacked with sticks here, but anyway, you kind of want to take out the guys with weapons first is the deal here. And these guys are sort of constantly moving around you, as you can see. And like the thing you probably notice first is like, oh my God, we're moving up and down. We're not just moving on a single plane, right? We're actually able to move up and down. So this was the birth of the belt scroller, right? The belt scrolling action game or the belt scrolling beat 'em up. It gives us more free movement. So I should have actually jump kicked these guys a little bit first. And so Vicky, who is the boss who just came out of the background there for anyone who didn't notice, kind of comes out on a set number of guys here. So once I beat up enough of his cronies, he comes out, and I get to mess around with him as well. But jump kicking is really like your key to getting anywhere in this game. And you had voice samples, which I probably may not have been able to hear those super well, but Riki was kind of telling me not to like mess around with him. And then we do that, and we throw ourselves off the edge, because that's what you do when you finish a level in Kunio. You race to the edge and try to hurl yourself off. All right. New obstacle in the second stage, which is motorcycles. And so you have to kind of try and time your jump kicks here to get these guys. It's a little bit easier for me when I back up against the wall, so I have a little bit more sense of space, but then it takes them a lot longer to come back around to you that way. I'm gonna move up to see if I can get through these guys a little bit quicker this way. Nice. A few of them come out. I'll turn around so I can get them this way. Okay. Once we get these guys, the rest of them... Oh, no, we still got one! Oh, God. Okay. Come on. There we go. All right. And so now, again, we're just gonna... Come on. Come on. Trying to get these guys with the weapons here done first, and we can throw them too. It's a little risky to do that because you can get guys coming up behind you, and hold on, let's see if we can. Yeah, get in the water. Yeah, no, come on, go, get in the water. And so so much of this game is like fishing for jump kicks, right? You're just kind of trying to fish for jump kicks until you can get all of these guys taken care of here. And you don't have to kill all of his cronies, but it helps so they can't really surprise you. And if I try, let me see if I can get on top of him before he's done. He kind of tells me "Sakin Jane" and throws me off, right? So, and we got him. I didn't dash into the water in time. Yeah, this is another NES one, that's true. The NES one is almost kind of a different game in so many ways. And maybe we'll showcase that on the stream one of these days, but I like the arcade version of this way better. Way better. Okay, so we've got the Skibbon out here. We get equal opportunity for the ladies to beat up on Kunio as well. With bags and I guess like chain whips. And so the ones with the bags are a little bit tougher, so you kind of want to take them out because you can see Misuzu there in the background waiting, and Misuzu is a menace. Like she is tough if you don't know how to deal with her. So we're gonna take all these ladies out first. And then if we can get a few of you, good. But Misuzu should be coming out to play here. So now you can kind of walk them back and get them over this way. And what you really want to do is sort of bait out a dash. So you can do that. Because Misuzu will just kind of smack you if you just try and walk up on her. I won't risk showing it here, but see, she just kind of bowled me over there. But she like picks you up and slaps you and all sorts of stuff here. Oh, we almost got the Misuzu slap there. Oh, Lord. All right, hold on. And if you get her too close to the wall... Ah! Oh, Spectrum Renegade? Oh, God. Do I even want to? Do I even want to is the real question. I mean, I probably do want to, but how badly will I regret it? All right, so we're just kind of looping her. Once we get her down to 1, we'll be good to go. Oh, man, he didn't quite reach the wall. And so this is where things get real rough, because we just got dudes who are straight up stabbing Shinji now. Like, never mind punching him in the face. Like, guys are just getting stabbed. And they will one-hit kill stab you as well. And so the idea is you want to try and line these guys up as much as you can so that you can dash into all of them. But it also kind of takes a while to kill them all this way. So you're kind of trying to pick them off one at a time where you can. And see, with one down and one up, I don't want that because the other guy's just going to come up and stab me, right? So I want to try and line these guys up if I can, because I don't want to waste too much time. Oh, okay. Nice. Nice. Okay. All right. And so now, where do we go from knives? A man just comes out and shoots you with a gun is where we go from knives. And I'm trying to line... Okay, yeah, see, that's what happens when you get the knife. I got one more life. There's a very specific trick that makes your life a little bit easier on this stage that I'm going to see if I can pull off here. I did not get Sabu... Oh my god. All right, great. That's how it goes, though. And unfortunately, you can only have a max of 2 lives in this game. So continuing was not really a thing you could do too easily in these early games. Like, for some reason, even though you were giving them money, they would sort of cut you off and not allow you to just pump in more money to continue, which is kind of nuts when you think about it now, right? I'm going to give this one more attempt, and if it doesn't work out, I will move along, because that stage can be, it can be tough. It can be tough. And like, for as many times as I've cleared this game, like, even I am not 100% consistent, because all it takes is one mistake, right? That's all it takes. One knife, one bullet, whatever, and you're just kind of done. So it's a tough one. It even took BBH a few attempts to clear this, so that that makes me feel at least a little bit better. All right. Yes, yes, yes. Come on. We're not quite... maybe I could have gotten him on 2. Yeah, insert coin to continue wasn't the standard, was it? Yeah, some games, I won't want to say that, like, no games had it by this point, because I'm sure that some did. But it wasn't, like, the first beat-em-up I recall, arcade beat-em-up that I recall seeing that would just let you continue on the spot was maybe Double Dragon? I'd have to go back and, you know, kind of look at my history there to be sure. But it's the first one I remember playing for scrolling down the belt that was just, okay, you can continue right here on the spot. So it's odd to think of. And I'm jump kicking in the wrong directions. Right, yeah, almost like all they care about is your money, right? All right, you go. And apparently not you. Don't wear down all my health here, guys. Come on. Yeah, and there was one more. There we go. Yeah, the US version of this Renegade, they have it the Galloping Ghost in Brookfield, Illinois, and it I think the last time I went, actually, they had finally fixed it, but one of the directions on the stick didn't work, so I think you, like, had to play this game, like, without being able to move up or something, which is not possible. So it took me a very long time before I was able to clear it there because I couldn't. Oh yeah, I definitely played Double Dragon before I played this game as well. Like, you know, whatever version you're talking about, right? Whether you're talking about Renegade or Arcade or Home or whatever, like, I absolutely played Double Dragon before this. No, not yet. Okay. All right, let's see if I can get it. Yeah, so close. You can absolutely throw Kunio into the water. All right. The good thing about this game is that getting back up to where you were doesn't really take that long. No, come on. Come on. Come on. And, like, obviously taking some amount of damage is not really that big of a deal, right? Like, Kunio has a pretty decent amount of health, so it's not like you really need to go for damageless or something insane like that. And they downed me before that, so I probably won't be able to get any of them before Misuzu comes out. Well, I got one. That's better than none. No, okay. She decided to duck that one. And, oh, here we go. What is going on with her today? What is happening with you, Misuzu? What are you doing? And technically, we don't have to even beat these others. Okay, I gotta be careful here. Else this credit dies. Ooh. Okay. Okay. And we really can't try and get up on top of her until 1. And there. Palace Cat, welcome! Thank you for joining. And yes, Misuzu does make an appearance in River City Girls. So yeah, anybody who's played River City Girls actually probably knows some of these characters. River City Girls is a fantastic game. I love it. It is a lot of fun. All right, now if you gentlemen would let me past you, please. Thank you very much. Oh, God! I'm embarrassingly not super consistent with my dash. Sometimes I don't hit it, and it's a disaster. Oh, God. Okay. No! Oh, God! Okay. And sometimes you can just dash into a knife, so that's a thing, too. Your cats are in one of the trailers for River City Girls 2? How did that come to be? I didn't know they were doing like open auditions for cats for River City Girls 2 trailers. That's crazy. I can't say I recall exactly what the trailer for River City Girls 2 was, but apparently it featured cats. All right, I'm gonna take a risk there. Come on, guys, line up. Cooperate, please. All right. Through wait. All right, that's fine. I am pretty happy. I am pretty down for this game anytime, but before we leave Kunio, I want to show what this ended up looking like in America. We'll go back to the main menu here. Right. So if we look at the US version, it is Renegade. And we'll just play a little bit of this just to show you. So already, you can see it's a little bit different, right? And yeah, it's they're all completely reskinned. I know that this one might have some more nostalgia for people, like if you played this one in the arcade when you were young or whatever. I didn't, so it doesn't have much nostalgia for me. So for me, yeah, okay, I was going to say he's going to fall right off the edge. So for me, I just feel like it's the same game. It plays exactly the same. As far as I know, they didn't make any changes to the gameplay or the balancing or anything like that. But the visual look is just kind of like generic 80s action movie, I guess. And I'm much more like,
good luck, kid.
Good luck, kid, the title screen says there. And so we'll just play a level of this real quick here. And I mean, as you can see, he's got all the same moves, right? It's even the same music. We've even got like, we didn't even lose like the rockabilly soundtrack or anything like that. Okay, I actually don't have my buttons set for this version of the ROM, so we'll really make this quick. But yeah, it's the same thing, but we changed the voice clips, and we changed the look of all the characters. We got like some dudes in Kiss makeup later, for example. I think that's what they did to the ladies. Like I'm pretty sure they're not late. Well, no, I'm sorry. Some of them are, but they like changed the outfits so they're not like so skebon looking and whatnot. Which I mean makes sense, right? Like I'm not saying they should have used this as like a way to to like, you know, stealth introduce Soup Party and like skebon culture to America or anything like that. But like I do feel like they took it a little too far in the other direction. So yeah, that's kind of what they did with this. I agree. They should have tried to backdoor skebon culture into America through Renegade, but alas, they did not do that. All right, so let's take a quick look at what the deal with Renegade was. So we took a look at that. And so now we are going to take a look at another issue from 1986. And we'll just kind of skim through to see if there's any interesting stuff here beforehand. Yeah, absolutely. Denelum on 5308 points out, it's very much like the Warriors vibe. So much of beat 'em up history, and I talk about this in the Scrolling Down the Belt videos. The Warriors and Streets of Fire are like the two Hollywood movies that informed like so much of the side-scrolling beat 'em up aesthetic when they aren't going for something like fantasy or something like that. Like it's very, very easy to trace it back to those. I'm also noticing something that I just noticed for the first time in this article here, that there is a CD single called Mario Syndrome. Right, interestingly. I'm not quite sure what the deal with that one is. But it's, again, kind of the same thing before. We've got a few more sort of like arcade pictures here. And game shop pictures and things like that, which is kind of neat. We've got Salamander. Yeah, I guess 1986, 1 year after Gradius. That would have been about Salamander time, wouldn't it? Salamander, definitely a game that is going to appear on one of these streams at some point for sure, and Gradius as well. Statues of Walter Hill built across Japan. I saw this when I was looking through here, and what is this? Yeah, Life Force, Salamander, the version of it called Life Force in the West, and then sort of like re-imported back into Japan almost. So some changes to it, but yeah, the NES version especially too is called Life Force. They were both 2-player, which was kind of a big deal for a shoot 'em up at the time. Fight Club, do you have insight into Spacey? Do you have experience using this device? We also have Enduro Racer, a classic ride-on bike game, and just thinking of that's Spacey. Okay. The less said about him, the better, I suppose. We don't have anything quite as awesome as Space Soldier from earlier. But we do have some toys, and the text here says Chibiko no yume o kyachi. So like catch the dreams of small children. I guess that's what these are intended to do. I do kind of love this one though. Space Combat, which is a tank versus a robot? Am I looking at that right? That seems like a fun showdown. A Vectrex will also pour you a margarita. It does look like a Vectrex, doesn't it? It's very Vectrex coded. Oh my gosh. The Vectrex that also makes you drinks that has like a way too small display. Let's see here. Let's move on. Wait, hold on. This is getting my attention here. Call us. Are you saying to yourself, Mission Impossible? We can locate all games, new and old. Osaka. Okay. Fight Club, you have a mission. You you have to go see if this place can still help you locate all games new and old. I have a feeling it can't. But if it can, is this robot still here? Did I miss Solomon's Key? Is Solomon's Key hanging out somewhere here? There it is. Sometimes I forget that Solomon's Key was actually an arcade game. Someone say margaritas. Yes, the margaritas was Ubersaurus posited that this was a Vectrex that could make you margaritas. And I mean, who are we to say that he's wrong, really, right? All right. So, oh boy. I think we have some exciting Mahjong arcade hardware too. I assume most people who are tuning into this, who are familiar with Retronauts, are probably familiar with the slew of, if not erotic, titillating Mahjong games, and I guess the arcade was no real exception to said games. Let's see. Yojuden. I have never played a Yojuden, but we do have a very interesting ad with live actors here. Yes, even Capcom made sexy Mahjong games. I suppose the appeal and maybe the allure of those profits were probably just too irresistible even for Capcom. We've got a Nichibutsu game here. That font, what? The katakana is easier to read. Oh, it's Amaterasu. Okay. But I feel like that's not what they wrote in the Romaji there. That this font is like messing with my brain, and I just can't really parse it. But she appears to be standing in front of what is that? A coin mech? But like just the coin mech? Interesting. Soldier Girl Amazon. Okay. Interesting. This is definitely one that I'm also less familiar with. Some of those early Nichibutsu ones, that's a blind spot for me. Erojong. All right. So we should, yeah, here we are. Okay, so Game Machine. How did Nekketsu Kouha Kunio do? Well, it was at number 1. Now, no surprise, but because it wasn't immediately released in the States, like simultaneously as Renegade, they did not have an official name for it at this point. So it was called Kunio Boy in this magazine. There's probably nothing official about that, I'm guessing, but a reality in which it was called Kunio Boy is a fun proposition to me. We also have, some of you may be familiar with Dump Matsumoto, the professional wrestler Dump Matsumoto, who a handful of years ago had a Netflix series made about her life. And she had a game that I believe that released on a home console of some sort, but it was an arcade game first. And so she came in at number 3, good old Dump. Haley's Comet from Taito was still sticking around, an early shooter, and we've definitely got like our share of Mahjong here as well, real Mahjong. We've got Gradius here, getting down from number 3. Yeah, I do think I remember that episode of, I think it was a Sega platform, right? It might have been like his Master System or his something coverage, Jeremy's coverage, where he talked about the Dump Matsumoto game. So we've got stuff like Gradius, we've got Quartet 2, we've got Scramble Formation. For some reason, is called Tokyo, Tokio, like the former Johnny's Jimusho J-pop band Tokyo. We got Wonder Boy, we got Fantasy Zone, we've got Mr. Goemon, all sorts of stuff. So like the arcade version of Mario Brothers, which I guess was maybe on the Versus system. I don't know if it was on the Versus system hardware at that point or not, but Kunio Boy coming in above all of that. And like you can kind of see over on the upright side here, we've got like the motion version of the Space Harrier cabinet. They call it the rolling type, is at number 1, and I think that sticks around on that list for quite some time. Body Slam, yeah, it was a Master System game called Body Slam, as is pointed out in the chat here. Reskinned as pro wrestling outside of Japan. Yeah. Oh, it's that one. It's the Master System game where the guy is holding his own head. I forgot that was what the Dump Matsumoto game ended up turning into. I don't think at any point in history Dump Matsumoto was depicted holding her own head, though. Maybe holding someone else's head, but I'm pretty sure not her own head. And we get a lot of other stuff like the upright version of Quartet is here. We've got Hang On. So like Sega kind of ruling the top of these charts over here with their Taikon cabinets, right? This was like the beginning of Taikon, was Space Harrier and Hang On. Yeah, Ubersaurus points out, I also follow Bull Nakano on Instagram. And yeah, she had a really interesting post about how back in her wrestling days, she would, between matches backstage, sit backstage and play video games. And she'd always wanted, when she retired or whatever, to just like spend long amounts of time sitting around playing video games. And it seems she's actually now being able to do that. I think she had a picture of herself like having bought a CRT and like a Super Famicom. I think she was playing like Final Fantasy V or something like that, if I remember correctly. And so, yeah, we got the flippers, the good old flippers. We got an ad for Athena. Hi, Athena des. And all of you may have different feelings on Athena, depending on whether you're thinking of the arcade game, the NES game, the character, her representation of a character in the King of Fighters series, or Psycho Soldier, or any number of lives Athena has led over the years. But this was kind of the original video game life that she led. Apparently SNK gets angry to Ikari counterfeit. Maybe people are making counterfeit boards of Ikari warriors, which is sure. I guess Akari Warriors was popular enough to warrant a bunch of counterfeit boards. And they're kind of showing you the different versions of it and how you can tell a counterfeit from a real one. The Athena PS1 horror game. Is that real? Can't tell if you're making a thing up or what. And then to close it out, it looks like we just got some ads for miscellaneous stuff. Good old Super Sprint, Namco, Thunder Scepter, Return of Ishtar. It's a real thing. I'm sort of amazed that I somehow do not know about this. Like, is it SNK's Athena or is it like the mythological Athena? I assume, bringing it up, that it must be SNK's Athena, right? That Athena's awakening in an ordinary life. Boy, oh boy. I do not know how I missed that. I wonder if SNK farmed out I wonder if SNK actually did the development for it, or if they, excuse me, farmed it out to someone else or what. That is crazy. I will have to make it a point to check that out. Essentially the KOF version. Okay. Wow. All right. So there is at least one more game I want to try to get through tonight. And for those of you who have tracked the trajectory of beat 'em ups that I'm on here, you can probably predict where this one's going. Let me switch over to it. Red Spectra, hello. Thank you for joining. We are just about to get into another game here. After getting done looking at some magazines. Well, go ahead, and I might need to adjust the sound somewhat on this, but we'll have to see. So you can probably guess what this is. I will let it tell you what it is first, though. Yes, it is Double Dragon. Still Technos Japan. We're going from Technos Japan to Technos Japan, but we've leaped ahead a year in time to 1987, April 1987. Hopefully the audio's okay on this, because Double Dragon is a little bit louder than the other two that we had, so I had to turn it down in my own headphones, but let me know if this is throwing things out of balance for folks. But Double Dragon is also a Yoshihisa Kishimoto game. So this is the follow-up to Renegade. So basically the mandate from Technos Japan was Renegade / Nekketsu Kouha Kunio-kun did well. We need a follow-up. You got to make us a follow-up. But we have two stipulations for you. One is this has to be a game that has immediate Western appeal that we don't have to change and relocalize. And two, it has to support 2 simultaneous players. So I believe Nekketsu Kouha Kunio-kun / Renegade was 2-player alternating, like a lot of arcade games at the time, where it was like you could switch on and off. I don't really know why you would do that ever, but 2-player simultaneous. And so Double Dragon is both of these things. They didn't go with some distinctly Japanese setting that they had to either explain or localize. They went just with a straight up, Western action movie aesthetic, right? And so this is where Kishimoto's favorite martial arts movies really came into play. He talks in interviews about this, about I really loved Enter the Dragon, but it's hard to see Enter the Dragon anywhere in this, at least in my opinion, other than the fact that, people are doing martial arts. But if you read the story to this, which is not really that evident in the game, this apparently takes place in a dystopian future after nuclear fallout. Similar to something like Mad Max or Fist of the North Star, which would have definitely been in the water in Japan at the time in 1987. I believe the anime was some percentage of the way through being aired at that point. So it's not really surprising that they would pick that kind of a backdrop, but you can't tell by looking at the game. Like, there's just skyscrapers back there, and they just look like skyscrapers. Nothing about this says dystopia. Even in the NES version, to be honest, which has, you know, the story more explained in the manual, it's not obvious. And I am just realizing I'm forgetting to change the name of the game that I'm playing. There we go. So yeah, I guess it has that story. If you say so, Kishimoto. Fight Club says it's funny that Kishimoto worked on Road Blasters because this is another game that borrows from Hokuto no Ken. That's totally true, isn't it? And also, I'm seeing double. 4 dragons. Starlight Midori Land asks if you played the recent Double Dragon Revive, by the way. I have it. I have it on Steam. I have not played it. I would like to. I've watched streams of it, and I am aware of the general opinion of it being not great. Some people have found some stuff to like about it, but I feel like the story of the Double Dragon series is that they haven't been able to make a game that made very many people happy since, like, Double Dragon 2, or maybe, like, I don't know what people's feelings on Neon are. Like, I really like Neon, but it was a little bit of a different thing. But I feel like there hasn't been a Double Dragon game that has made people happy in a very, very long time. And this just sort of continues on in that grand tradition. But I would like to get into it, and maybe I will even stream it one of these days here. So let's get into some Double Dragon here. A lot of people know Double Dragon from the NES version, right? I probably didn't first play the NES version, but more of my experience was with the NES version. It's a very different game. We'll do the NES version on stream here sometime, but this is not, for anyone who's only seen the NES version, in parts it might not even be recognizable to you. It's that different. It doesn't have the RPG elements of leveling up and things like that. It's much more of a straight action game. Yeah, Double Dragon was 87 and the Hokuto no Ken animated movie came out in 86. So yeah, that lines up. I don't recall exactly how long away. Well, I don't remember offhand when the TV series started airing. Battletoads Double Dragon game is still the best Battletoads game and the best Double Dragon game. I can't agree with the second part of that sentence. Sorry, Ted Bob. I can't follow you there. Seeing Billy and Jimmy given like the Double Dragon big boot, or sorry, the Battletoads big boot is just a little too weird for me. All right, so you can punch and kick in this game, right? You can do that. But what you should be doing is the elbow. The elbow has a stupid hitbox, and it sticks out there for a super long amount of time. So you can, kick, punch, jump. You can do jump kicks. But really, this game is just doing this. If you're playing it right anyway. You're just kind of positioning yourself around the enemies, and you're doing a whole lot of elbows. And yeah, I think the car is a Road Blaster reference, as someone pointed out from Kishimoto's background with Data East there. And we are throwing out elbows all day long. We got a wanted poster of, I believe that's Machine Gun Willie and someone else. Double Dragon is a pretty cursed series. Double Dragon 2 almost gets into the later platform levels. Thank you for saying that. Like, I feel like the platforming in Double Dragon 2, particularly that NES version, is like an absolute war crime that people have just overlooked for years. I do feel like most of what people remember from Double Dragon, like most of the from Double Dragon 2, is from the NES version. And so it's cooler in a lot of ways, but that platforming is awful. Like, it is just awful. And there's our good friend Abobo popping out of walls like he will do, not for the last time in this game, that's for sure. Oh god, the baseball bat. Okay. And I'm getting smacked around by the baseball bat. So, yeah, positioning, pretty important here to be able to keep throwing these elbows out. And every once in a while I kind of blow one, kind of whiff one, because apparently my inputs are not clean enough. The first movie in the theater last year? How? What theater would show a double Oh, the first movie. Are you talking about the Fist of the North Star movie or the Double Dragon movie? I guess first movie you would be talking about Fist of the North Star, wouldn't you? Because as far as I know, there were not. Thank God there was not more than one Double Dragon movie. Okay, that's on me. I took that knife, and hopefully I don't horribly regret it. Yeah, get rid of that knife. I can't take too many risks here because I lost a good amount of health to that knife. I'm trying to give myself some space so I don't whiff those elbows. There we go. Double Dragon 3 is very fascinating, I agree, and I am absolutely going to stream Double Dragon 3 one of these days. Whoa, dynamite. Okay. And yeah, there's a lot of interviews with Kishimoto about how Technos Japan, like, mismanaged the Double Dragon franchise and just sort of, like, through letting anyone have it who wanted it, like, it just became, like, a canonical mess. But, like, this was before that, right? Like, this was before any other company had gotten a hold of it. So I don't think he can really, like, blame someone else for being like, well, you know, I didn't want it to be a dystopian, but, like, I'm pretty sure he came up with that idea, unless, I guess there's a chance it was forced on him. Anything is possible. Double Dragon 3 was the first Double Dragon you beat on NES. Yeah, it's not an easy one. On NES or on arcade, to be honest. It's got its challenges on either. So it's again, like, kind of almost a very different game based on which one you're playing, but it's still ridiculously hard and weird in very different ways. Come on. No, you guys don't need to go back up there. Come on. What is this man doing? All right, we'll climb up the thing. We'll do it the proper way. My wife knew Double Dragon's movie well before that. Imagining being familiar with Double Dragon as a movie franchise and not a game franchise is absolute insanity to me. But I guess it had to happen to someone. All right. Come on. Yeah, I've heard, I think they're old stories at this point, but I've heard stories of Ted Bob's prowess at the NES version of Double Dragon 3, and I really think he should stream it sometime, unless he has already and I've missed it. But I would love to see an expert Double Dragon 3 clear. Taiko no Tatsujin's Heihachi. Yeah, I'm familiar with him along with Street Fighter 6's Terry Bogard in Mai Shiranui and Samurai Showdown's Baiken. Those are all my favorite characters. Okay, this is not great. Linda, put that whip away. No, leave it. And yes, her name is actually Linda, for anyone who doesn't know. I'm not just picking, like an outdated woman's name and calling her that. Linda Lash, I believe? And another real cool thing about this game is you're just transitioning between levels, like, organically, right? There's not like a loading screen, not loading, there wouldn't be, but like a transitionary screen like you normally would see between levels. You just kind of see him walking right to the next level. He's on a journey. A journey of dragons. Yeah, I agree. Good beat-em-ups do have connectivity like that. Like, I feel like it's a relatively rare thing to really try to, like, tell a good story with a beat-em-up. And I'm not talking about just, like, quality of writing or anything. Like, there's obviously only so much you can do with that in a game like this. Because people who play games like this probably don't want to sit and, like, watch cutscenes and you know, read a bunch of dialogue and whatnot, right? But, like, you know, environmental storytelling, right? I agree. It is definitely something that more put down that bear. Oh god, I actually did not want this. But you know what? I got it. So we're gonna use it. Until somebody knocks it away from me, because I never pick up weapons in this game, so I'm actually not sure if you can drop them or not. This bat has not a good range on it. I feel like I have better range with a baseball bat than Billy Lee here does. Please, someone take this bat away from me. I don't want it anymore. No, but serious. Okay, thank God. All right. It was worth it. Just to not have to deal with the bat anymore. Come on. He's not swinging with his legs. Is Heihachi canonically a rhythm game fan? Is that why he was... Is that the official word on why he was featured in Taiko no Tatsujin? I mean, I could see it. He's got to do something when he's not running the Mishima Corporation or doing all that other stuff. I think it's a good story. I think we can say it's canonical. Heihachi is one of those guys who wears gloves to the arcade when he plays Mai Mai and Shunrhythm and Poppin' and other rhythm games that people wear gloves when they play. All elbow grease. Enerjax, I think you've done so many rhythm game and arcade-centric pieces as it is already, right? Like, maybe you need, like, for the Tekken people, because people have been clamoring for some time for you to do Tekken characters, so maybe you need to do, like, Heihachi the rhythm game player against, like, who would he be against? Like, Kazuya, probably? Them playing, I don't know, Taiko no Tatsujin or something. So, there's an idea for you. For those of you who don't know, I think several of you in the okay, actually, hold on. This takes... Anybody who's played this game before knows how terrible this part is. Get out, no, sir. Sir. Okay. Oh, I clench every time I make that jump. Oh, God. Okay. Oh, no. that... Did I, like, fall in that pit or something? Is that what happened there? He threw me, and I think he might have thrown me into that pit, which is not exactly the way I wanted to spend a life, but it is what it is. And any slowdown that you see, by the way, on screen is not my computer. It is actually the arcade board. The arcade board itself had this level of slowdown. It is not MAME, it is not my computer, it is just the way the arcade board was. You can go to a real arcade and play a real board of Double Dragon and see this much slowdown when, like, more than 2 enemies come on screen. Yeah, popping machine together in versus mode. Yeah, I Double Dragon 3, you're right. I should really put something on screen at that point that says, no, the game just looks like this, because I feel like a lot of people will ask that question. And here, for those of you familiar with the NES version, yes, the Abobos will pop out of the wall, but no, we do not have to do the thing where we go into the door and go into the cavern and blah, 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 blah. That is just not a thing in this version of the game. I'm actually hoping I don't run out of time here, because I'm looking at my clock, and now it's making me a little nervous. Are you guys gonna you're just gonna hang out there in the corner? All right. I have never gotten them to do this before. I was gonna say, I doubt that they'll stay there. These lovely boulder sound effects. Oh, come on. Come on. When you get them lined up like that, that's what you really want. And now you're just... What are you doing down there, buddy? Alright, we should be okay on time, because I believe the level ends after them. There we go. He's waiting for me. Elbow 2 men hard enough to knock them down. Yeah, that is definitely some Kenshiro levels of strength, isn't it? Truly. Though I feel like if Kenshiro elbowed someone, it would be, like, intentionally to a pressure point, and it would, like, expand their chest, or, like, you know, blow their face up or something like that, rather than just simply knock them down. Alright, don't go too far down, because it's real easy to fall off the ledge in this. Those pressure points, yeah, maybe there is a pressure point that just knocks somebody down. That could be a thing. Kenshiro in a rave. Oh, I forgot you came. Kenshiro just has to be way too stoic for that, right? I don't think Kenshiro is the rave-going type. He does not. Is it canon that he doesn't sing or dance? Yeah, was that when they put him in the Hokutoga Gotoku, the Yakuza Ryuga Gotoku game? Is that when it came out that he was like, no, he can't sing silly karaoke songs because he's Kenshiro. He doesn't sing, he doesn't dance. He's way too stoic for any of that. Alright, come on, buddy. There we go. Alright. And so we got, Green Abobo. I don't know if that's his Hulk form, or if that's, like, scurvy, or... how one gets to be like that. Yeah, no romances other than Yuria. He is very dedicated to Yuria. Can hear it in my head constantly. Yuria. All right. So trick I discovered. Keep walking. Immediately start walking when you get in here, and you will get no... Okay. I just proved myself wrong. That's crazy. All right, well, at least I guess I didn't end up running into some crazy undiscovered secret, because I have a run of this where I went through it. I immediately started walking as soon as I got into that area, and what happened was I got no bricks. That time I got bricks, so I was like, is this a thing? Is this a, you know, a thing I can repeat? But it seems it is not. I really have no idea what the strat for those... that could be it. That could be it. It could be that I walked up slightly. Okay, so for this one, I feel like what I usually do here is I wait for a lull in this, and then I jump, and then I kind of get through it like that. So that one I feel like I'm pretty consistent at, but throw the knife, or no, actually just come over here. All right, we'll have to see if I have enough to make it through this, because the machine gun Willy gauntlet is a pretty brutal one. Grab the knife here, but yeah, you're right. I was slightly off there. Oh boy. Oh no. Okay. Well, that's not good. We're gonna have to try to do this on one here. And hope that it goes well. At least I got them lined up pretty nicely to where I'm getting elbows on both of them. Oh, except for that. Except for that. Oh, God. Oh, no. All right. This is... Okay. Worst case scenario, I will save state, or I have a save state, so we can at least see the ending here. All right, so now there's Marion up on the wall. I don't want to get myself trapped back here, actually. But I kind of gotta elbow my way out of this. All right. What? Okay. No problem to scroll. Oh, God. Both of these, as many of these guys at a time as I can, because more guys come out before Machine Gun Willy does. Come on, somebody please run into this elbow. I'm begging you. And not with a baseball bat, preferably. God's sake. Oh. And so, yeah, I can only imagine how really rough this section would be if you were trying to, you know, play it with, like, punches and kicks. It's just brutal. Like, you'd be feeding quarters into here nonstop. Because the thing, I didn't really showcase it at all, but if you do, you know, if you play the game that way, right? The problem you'll run into is these guys just, like, trade blows with you constantly. And so it becomes, okay, here's Machine Gun Willy. Yes. Oh, no. And you kind of want to stay on top of Willy, because if you get too far away from him, he will basically just end you with that machine gun. And just like in Kunio-kun, like, one hit with a gun, and you're done. So I'm really trying to prioritize him. No. Don't accidental headbutt, please. I'm trying to prioritize him over these other guys. There we go. And now they'll actually walk away. Oh, wait. Oh! He'll... Oh! I kind of love this ending song. May you live happily forever. Thank you, thank you. Yoshikishi. That's Yoshihisa Kishimoto. I like Yoshikishi as a nickname. For more than 5 seconds. Yeah, Double Dragon doesn't loop. So they're not going to subject Billy to another loop through. So if you're playing this game 2-player, obviously I can't really show this here, but if you're playing this game 2-player, you will be forced to fight each other at the end. So player 1 is Billy, player 2 is Jimmy, and you have to fight each other to see who gets to rescue Marion. And I have memories of playing this in an arcade with our very own Ubersaurus, and he got me locked down in the elbow trap, and it was all over for me, and he got to rescue Marion, and I didn't. So, good job. All right. All right. So, let us go back over to Game Machine, and let's see how a game developed with the West in mind did in Japan at the time. So now we're going into 1987 here. And let's see what 1987 holds for us. We'll get to the fun stuff here. Yeah, that Ubersaurus guy, man, I don't know how anybody puts up with him. Let's see. We got some really, really small screenshots of a few cabinets down here. We got a stand-up Super Hang-On. I am not familiar with Batlantis. I know R-Type very well. You absolutely will see R-Type 1 appear on a future stream here. Yeah, he probably does play Choi, doesn't he? Still undefeated in Frog and Flies. And Midnight Landing, that is quite a deluxe version of Midnight Landing there. We got lots of wonderful little arcade screenshots here. What do we have down here? Circus. Okay, we've got like billiards. America kara yatte kita. Kuzen no Boomu. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I've never considered the history of billiards before just now. I guess if you made me think about it, I would have assumed that billiards just sort of became popular everywhere at around the same time because, like, its appeal is pretty obvious, I guess, right? I would not have imagined that they would have been marketing billiards tables in Japan as like, it's the latest trend from America. Like, that's in the 80s. Huh. Interesting. Let's see what else we've got here. We've got some arcade shots from around Kanagawa. It looks like they're giving screenshots of like different arcades in different areas. What else? We got an R-Type ad, which is great. We've Hyo. Oh, sorry, that's not Hyo. It's Hi-Ho. Oh boy. Okay, we're getting into the quiz games. I guess maybe there were some sexy quiz games too. That stands to reason. I would believe that. What else? We got Super Hang-On, of course. Probably everybody knows Super Hang On. There's a they're showing all three versions here. You got the stand-up one, you got the sit-down one that still kind of has the wheel, and you have the full deluxe one where you're on the bike. Very, very memorable Game Center CX episode. I don't remember what Tamage that scene first appeared on, but the classic scene of the cameraman Abe and Arino like riding behind him on the hang-on bike, like holding on. All right, so we have breaking billiards news. Enerjax says that she just looked up billiards, and King Louis XI was fancy pants because he brought the billiards indoors in France. So, as is pointed out in the chat, that means that you have to infer that before King Louis XI, billiards was an outdoor game, which okay. So I guess, I don't know, did the Japanese in the 80s still think it was an outdoor game? And they were like, American, they play it indoors? It's crazy. We gotta get on those billiards. Outdoor pool. Okay. That's a pretty cool, I assume that's probably the flyer for Batlantis. It's a kind of a, it almost looks like a gain ground or something by the small screenshots that you can see in there. But I admit I am not very familiar with Batlantis. Lunar Pool for the NES, yeah, a classic, really, Lunar Pool. If anyone has watched Jeff Gersman's streams that he's been doing for the last God knows how many years, like ranking the entire NES North American library, he constantly brings up Lunar Pool. It's better when it's in space. I also do really want to know if the Shuwa Electronics service, with their low prices and immediate delivery of used PC boards, with high-speed delivery, are they delivered in that vehicle? That to me is the real question. Was someone driving around that car, Initial D style, going as fast as they can to try to deliver PCBs to people in Japan? These are the questions we really should be asking ourselves here. So, we've got, I guess not surprising given the trajectory of things up until this point, we've got Double Dragon at number 1. Number 1, it debuted at number 1. So there's some really interesting stuff around this, though, I think. So we have Versus Family Stadium, which I was not even aware that got a Versus System arcade style adaptation, because Family Stadium, for those who don't know, I don't think I'm getting my games wrong here. I can't remember if that was one of the Power Pad games that was also released in the US, and if it was probably rebranded. Like, it might have been World Class Track Meet. I'm not 100% sure on the history there, but it was definitely a Power Pad game, or the Family Trainer, if you prefer the Japanese name. So thinking about how, like, they must have taken the pad element away from it. Maybe they did it like Konami Track and Field style, where you were like hitting buttons to make the guy run or something. I'll actually have to look up Versus Family Stadium and see just how they managed to do that. You've got two versions of Arkanoid on these charts at once. You've got Arkanoid Revenge of Doe at number 3, and you've got original Arkanoid, where is it? Down at number 15, which, by the way, here they Romanize it as Arkanoid, and here it is Arkanoido, which is a very understandable thing to do, because that's, you could kind of Romanize it that way, but interesting. You've got Flying Shark from Taito, a pretty classic shooter. I'm not too familiar with what Combat School is from Konami. You've got your Mahjongs, House Mannequin, which I don't know. Ninja-kun Ashura no Sho, which was a big hit. Big Event Golf by Taito. Alien Syndrome from Sega. Some more what looks like mahjong stuff. Extermination. Speaking of billiards, Perfect Billiards. Perfect Billiards from Nihon System / Sega. World Wars, SDI, another Sega classic. You've got like Tecmo World Cup, Side Pocket. This is okay. I did not notice this when I was going through this listing earlier, but this is Billiards was just in the water. Look at this. Like you've got Perfect Billiards, you've got Side Pocket from Data East, which I believe that had an NES port as well. So Side Pocket, a billiards game, like craziness. Like everybody was going nuts for billiards. That it's sweeping America, or at least it was in 1987, I guess. Teed Off, which I've got to assume is a golf game from Tecmo. Yokai Dochuki, a Namco classic. You've still got Kunio Boy, which is now properly called Renegade. Still hanging on the charts too after a year, which is crazy, right? Like I'm looking at the time here, and so okay, it wasn't quite a year, but it was pretty darn close to a calendar year between those two things. So that's nuts that Kunio managed to stick around, at least to some degree, all the way until Double Dragon came out. That's nuts. Mahjong. Plenty of mahjong. We've got Midnight Landing, which was that deluxe cabinet from Taito that we saw a little bit of. I've never personally seen a deluxe Midnight Landing. I would love to try one of those out. I need to figure out if any of those are still alive anywhere, if they've met the fate of the Darius cabinet, which is hardly anywhere has them. The Ninja-kun Ashura no Sho game was localized as Rad Action and Ninja Kid 2. Yeah, they had Ninja Kid 2 for the listing here. But Rad Action, interesting. But speaking of Darius, we got Darius here. It's ranked in as well as Outrun. So like again, very like the Taikon type games are like the gigantic cabinets are just kind of dominating the upright and cockpit style sides of the rankings here, and that's going to continue on for a long time. Games just had more lasting power back then. Yeah, I mean that's definitely true. There wasn't quite the deluge of arcade games coming out at that point, and people really tended to value the really good ones for a lot longer. I think that's true. So when you say you saw Darius in an arcade on the coast this last weekend, I have a follow-up question for that. So the Galloping Ghost here in Illinois also has a Darius, but it is kind of like the standing version, which is still a very, very impressive cabinet. Very impressive cabinet. It still has like the three monitors, even though they kind of use trickery for that. We'll get into the whole song and dance around that when I stream Darius, which will definitely happen. One of my favorite games. But it's stand-up, but the Japanese version was sit-down, still had the three monitors, and it had a woofer beneath the seat. They did the same thing with the Ninja Warriors and Darius 2. It was the sit-down one. Wow. You are very, very lucky to get to experience that. I will say, like, I'm sure they do exist outside of Japan, but I've never seen one outside of Japan. And even within Japan, there are only so many locations that have them, because that's just one of those things, kind of like the R360, where they were just so big and so clunky that eventually people just started destroying them to get them the hell out of there, right? Tiny Japanese arcades, floor space is precious. We need to get this out of here. What else are we going to do with it? There's stories of people hacking those things apart and then being so heavy to move that they'd slammed them up against the wall and knocked some mortar from the wall loose and like fell on top of people's cars. And there are so many stories of Darius cabinets. But yeah, the actual sit-down Darius cabinet is an experience. Like I like Darius before that, but I think probably Ubersaurus will agree with me on this, because we actually both also played it at Warehouse Kawasaki before it closed. We happened to be on a trip in Japan. What year was that? 2019? I think that was 2019 when he and I went in the fall. And we didn't plan this, but we were able to make it like a week or 2 weeks or something before warehouse closed. And so we made the trip out to Kawasaki and spent a day there. And we got to play that Darius cabinet. Mikado also has a sit-down Darius cabinet. Hey has one. They're not, if you're in the Tokyo area, you can definitely find them. But the one there, I feel like was just turned up. It was like balanced so perfectly. And having the experience on that was just amazing. Salaryman was hogging it at warehouse. Yeah, that sounds about right. Salaryman are always hogging it at Mikado too. I had to wait a ton of time and go play other stuff before I could get on the one at Mikado the last time I was there in 2023 and get a 1 credit clear on that. And yeah, Warehouse also had the Street Fighter 1 machine with the pneumatic buttons, like the buttons that you actually had to punch to get moves to come out, which is that it's terrible. Like it is the video game that hurts you. It really does. I think both of us were walking away from that and we were just like, oh God, this was a terrible idea. Why did we do this? We did it just because we had to try it, of course, and the last thing I'll say before we kind of move on through the magazine here is that they had some Sega Taikons there as well at Warehouse. I sat down to play Outrun, and Ubersaurus sat down to play Space Harrier. And that Space Harrier machine was turned up so loud that it drowned out everything around it. Like, I could not hear Magical Sound Shower, even though Magical Sound Shower was playing, because that Space Harrier machine was the loudest thing in existence. And when I think of Space Harrier machines, that's the first one that I think of still even now. Let's just take a look through some of the other stuff in here before we kind of move on. It should be illegal. Yeah. People, I mean, everybody... Like, there was an arcade that no longer exists that Enerjax and I used to go to that had an old beaten down poppin' music machine. And it was next to the loudest Beatmania that there ever was. And the headphone jack didn't work on the poppin' machine. So it was like, it was before she got a poppin' cabinet of her own. So that was the only way we could play it in the area where we lived back then. So we kind of had to put up with it. We got 1943. Apparently Namco was rolling out Dragon Spirit, which is fun. Taito unveiled guitar-playing robot Genyu. This is relevant to my interest as a lapsed guitarist. So apparently on May 11th, Taito unveiled the guitar-playing robot Genyu. It is developed by computer control. The machine plays an actual guitar, fabricated very precisely. It can play more skillfully than a man, amazing the listeners. Taito tells that only 50 units will be manufactured and sold at 12.5 million yen. So what does everyone think on A, the possibilities of even reasonably finding the guitar-playing robot Genyu anymore, and B, how much this thing has gone up in price over the years? Because I would like a guitar-playing robot Genyu. Like, I think that sounds pretty rad. But I somehow feel like I can't possibly afford one. And I also feel like you probably can't even get one, even if you could afford one. Just a hunch. He's been sold for scrap. God, he probably has been sold for scrap. Poor Genyu. Poor Genyu. It also justifies this claim by saying, since 6 fingers can be moved simultaneously, this robot can do more than a man does. Okay. I mean, I guess I see where they're coming from. Like, I mean, I can move all 6 of my fingers simultaneously, but I guess I see what it's saying. Like, it can make chords more quickly because they all just move in the position at once versus, you know, that little bit of time of reasoning it takes me to, like, you know, make my fingers into a bar chord position or something. He's in the big boy graveyard. Oh God, somebody needs to keep all those big boys company. Why not guitar playing robot Genyu? And a videotape of Outrun has been enjoyed, apparently. Coin Out Video, Outrun, Space Harrier, and Fantasy Zone were commercially released into videotapes. These are the kind of things that Retronauts president? What's his title? Retronauts president Jeremy Parrish, Retronauts co-president Jeremy Parrish, buys from Japanese auctions and digitizes for his own video project on YouTube as a part of his Patreon. He will digitize and upload these raw videos, and it's always really, really cool to see these gameplay videos being preserved and you know, just kind of presented in a more accessible way, so that he won't be going to the big boy graveyard. And oh, we got some real classics here. Oh my goodness. First of all, that is a great Dragon Spirit poster, or flyer. Love that. Who here is familiar with Kung Fu Roshi? Anyone who has read the manga or watched the anime High Score Girl, Big San. Big boy's name, yes, it's Big San. But anyone who has seen or read High Score Girl may remember Kung Fu Roshi from a scene, I believe it was in a hotel game room, with Haruo and Hiraka. And I think it was, it might not have been that scene. It might have been a different one. But anyway, there was definitely a time where Kung Fu Roshi is like saying something and Haruo is like, oh, Kung Fu Roshi, omae ka. And he goes over there and like plays the Kung Fu Roshi machine. And it's like a guessing game, right? Like you're hitting these kind of 3 buttons on here. You're picking, you know, he's saying like forward, back, left, right. And I believe how it goes is you have to hit the button in time with it. It's either that or you have to guess it. I've never actually played a Kung Fu Roshi, so I'm a little down on my history, but yeah, for me, if from High Score Girl, if nothing else, it's very memorable. And Namco Sweetland. Who could forget about Namco Sweetland? As well as our other Panda no Turaku, the Panda Truck. All sorts of, and again, this is like a font that my eyes don't really want to read. Naki koe taru-kun. Something like that. I just completely shut down when it comes to some of these fonts. All right. So there is one more game I want to attempt tonight, and we'll see how this goes, because this is probably the one I'm the least confident in of the bunch, though I do have some practice under my belt for it. I agree the most notable ad is Dragon Spirit in there. Dragon Spirit is a game I do not know, but I am going to learn for this stream one day, because it is a cool-ass game. All right, so let's go to one more game. All right. Now, this one is also, in a manner of speaking, a continuation of something that we looked at earlier. This is IREM's Vigilante. And so Vigilante, I'll turn the audio up a little bit there. Vigilante is kind of sort of a follow-up to Kung Fu Master Spartan X. Obviously it's not a direct sequel. It doesn't have, you know, Spartan X or Kung Fu Master in the name. That game did get a direct sequel. We'll look at that some other time. That was not an arcade game. That series actually has a really interesting history when you go to look at the home ports. But this was their sort of, you know, spiritual sequel, I guess, to Kung Fu Master. Obviously a much more Western setting. This was done completely without the involvement of Takashi Nishiyama. He was long gone. He was at Capcom or maybe even SNK by this point. But it's very much in the spirit of Kung Fu Master, even though it's you know, kind of maybe adopted the Double Dragon aesthetic, if you will. And let me change the game title. I told you I would forget things. I also realize that I have not been updating the other file that I have here that scrolls with the release dates. So now that's updated as well. Okay. Spartan X sequel on the Famicom and a Spartan X game on the Game Boy. There were, and we're absolutely going to play those someday. The Spartan X one was actually a real sequel. It really was Spartan X 2, but it's a thing. We'll see. All right. So Vigilante is kind of the same thing, but we have a little bit more of a story here. Someone's been kidnapped, and the skinheads have taken Madonna. Madonna's been kidnapped, everyone. If you're wondering what happened to Madonna, she is in the back of this truck. And we got our kicks and we got our punches. This is a terrible up to jump game, just like Kung Fu Master was. But what's that on the ground there? Oh, it's nunchucks. So we get to do this now. And we get to beat up dudes with nunchucks, which is fun. There's guys that are tougher than others. I guess they're sort of the equivalent to the knife guys in Kung Fu, if you had to draw a parallel there. And we've got lots of good signage in the background as well, I have to say. And these guys can knock your nunchucks away from you, so I'm trying to be very careful not to let them do that. There's the pee-pee room, and guys come out of the door of the pee-pee room, so I'm trying to bait them to do that so that I don't get stuck on them. Come on. Yes, there was... I meant to stop on that, I apologize, but there was a very good ice cream cone sign back there. Alright, and we're almost to our boss here. Oh, there's a man with a gun who... We don't want him. We want him to get out of here, actually. Alright, so here's our boss. We wanna... Come on, guy. Sir, can you please... Can you... Okay. Alright. We're gonna hit him in the knee with nunchucks a lot. I'm gonna get a little bit more up on him, I think. Again, what are hitboxes, right? And then, if this works according to plan, we can back this guy up against this truck and then just kick the crap out of him. And he goes down pretty handily. Yeah, the PC Engine TG16 port of this was actually pretty fateful. There's a couple little tricks that don't work that I remember from my playthrough of it, but it's pretty solid. It's really accurate. The van is still carrying Madonna, going to their turf. And we keep the nunchucks as long as we hold on to them. They're persistent from level to level. So now we're in like a junkyard or something where dudes are jumping off the top of scrapped cars and things like that. And there's kind of two approaches you can take with these guys. You can kind of jump past them or you can bait them down. I'm being a little bit safer about it maybe than I need to. Because if I run out of time here, I'm not worried about it, and you'll see why if I do run out of time. Yeah, what they really want you to do is come by them so they can, like, whack you with their sticks and make your nunchucks go away. Yeah, I think Jeremy did do a video on this. That's true. I think it was a while ago, but he definitely covered this, probably for Cron Turbo, or sorry, not Cron Turbo, Turbo Works. And much like in Kung Fu Master, they can kind of grab onto you and... No, don't want you to take away the nunchucks. Thank you very much. All right. Go on, go away. All right, so these guys, we're gonna get up against here, and you can see that we're gonna get them into a pattern here, right? So we're gonna sit here crouched and wait for them to jump up here, and then just get what hits in we can while they're up against the truck, because these guys are kind of a menace to fight, legit, to be honest. They're jumping all over the place all the time, and they're just a pain to deal with. And you can see, much like Mr. X and Kung Fu Master, the enemy's health bar is actually slowly going back up. So, like, if you're doing damage too slowly, it'll all be kind of a wash. But luckily, with these guys, we can outpace them enough to where we'll eventually get them down there, even though it's a little bit slow. And I think, luckily, we will run out of time for this, because there's a real funny bug in this game that I want to show. So timer's ticking down. These guys are still only at like half health. Sometimes they're not even letting me hit them. How am I ever gonna do this in time? Oh my god. Well, it turns out, if you stay crouched, time no longer matters. I'm continuing to exist here in a crouched state as long as I don't get up. If I did, I would get a game over. But so long as I don't, I'm A-okay. And God, I wish this guy would let me hit him. Sir, please. Thank you. Yes, fantastic programming. We're gonna let the truck drive away, and then we'll get up, and the level ends. I have watched some random strangers videos. I've not seen all of them. I know he was doing, what, a Famicom Disk System project for a while there too. Good. He does good work. And we got some motorcycle guys here. Got a few of them. And once we cross here, we'll be back to just our regular old non-motorcycle friends. It's this level that I'm a little bit nervous on the boss timing on, to be completely honest with you. So if I fall apart, it's gonna be here. And you'll see why. Okay. Oh god! Oh no! Oh, this is bad. Oh no. Okay. So, oh, what in the hell? Are you serious? Oh my god. This is nuts. I cannot believe this. Oh my god, how did I survive that? Oh. Alright, so this guy... Hey, come on.
Hey, come on.
I want him to chase after me.
Come on.
There's a very specific pattern. I blow this all the time, so I'm...
Hey, come on. Hey.
Yeah, I blew it. Okay. Now I'm off. Now I'm completely off pattern with him. Let's see if I can get it. Okay. We lost our nunchucks. Ah! Okay.
Hey, come on. Hey, come on.
Hold on, let me see if I can. Alright. I am gonna cheat a little bit for this one, since this is probably gonna be our last game of the evening here. And I'm gonna see if I can get him from a save state. I did say 1 CC attempts, not 1 CC guarantees. Easy does it. I always rush this is my problem, and you kind of have to take it slower than you think you do. Just very rhythmic. All right, he's almost there. And there he goes. Yeah, everybody has that, hey, come on, vocal sample. When I did this video for Scrolling Down the Belt, I forgot about this one, and so I'd covered Taito's growl before this. And so there's a guy who says, hey, come on, in that one. And so I took those two, and I took Terry Bogard's, hey, come on, and I just made an intro with all three of those. I was very proud of that. Just as proud as Taito was of their own vocal sample. Because that's just how my brain works. I hear people say, hey, come on, and, you know, I think of Terry Bogard, and that's just how it is. No. Okay. So, I think we're coming up to the next... Oh, no. Oh, God. Okay. I was very nervous he was going to get on top of me and the hitboxes were going to go crazy and I wasn't going to be able to get him off. He was going to take my nunchucks. Oh, God. See, I haven't memorized the placement of these guys, so them jumping down like it legitimately surprised me. All right, this guy, he's back, but he's throwing dynamite this time. And we can kind of smack him around a little bit like this. But at the end of the day, he's going to come down. And we're going to kind of do the same thing with him as we did his brother? Is it his brother, or is it the same guy? I don't know, what do you think? Same guy? Sibling? What's this guy's story? Either way, he is a man who has been... Oh, God! Okay. See if I can cheese him out here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh, God. Okay. Come on. It's so hard for me to get back on this pattern once I've lost it. Oh, God. Okay. Okay. The era of we pull the guy from the office and he's going to record the line. Yeah, that's totally what so much of the early voice samples in video games were, right? Nope, I'm going to the elevator, sir. Sorry. All right. Final level. Doing this without nunchucks should be possible, but we'll see. Because a lot of what you got to do here is sweeping. Sir, you're not supposed to be here. Oh, good lord. So many of these guys with guns appearing in places that I have never seen them appear in before. These guys are just coming up. Okay, they do give me some nunchucks. That's very kind of them. I would like for you to go away. Could you? Sir? You're not going away, are you? You're gonna make me come over there after you. Alright. There's the Manzai, I believe is what that sign says in the background, like a general advertisement for Manzai comedy, perhaps?
Hey, come on.
Alright. Okay, well, that did not really go the way... Alright, so we want to get him to say, hey, come on, and then bait... He's got me too close to the edge, is the problem. And then after he does the kick, if he whiffs the kick...
Hey, come on.
You can, for some period of time... okay.
Hey, come on.
Bait out his kick, and then you just kind of get up in his business for as long as he'll let you. Which is sometimes a long amount of time and sometimes short amount of time. Okay.
Hey, come on. Hey.
Okay.
Hey, come on.
Alright, come on.
Hey, come on. Hey.
Ah! Okay, that's okay. I'm getting a little too greedy here. Come on.
Hey, come on. Hey, come on. Hey, come on.
Hey, come on. And there he goes. So not quite a 1 credit clear, but kind of close. And we rescued Madonna from the construction equipment that they were suspending her from. Mad Donna. Way to go, dude! You saved Madonna. Law and order failed, but the vigilante prevailed. The vigilante rules the streets, now rules the city. I don't really think that's what he was after, but okay. Guess he rules the city now. All right, so that's Vigilante. So now, if you all had to, you know, rank and say, okay, we've had Kung Fu, right? We've had Kunio-kun / Renegade, and we've had Double Dragon. What do you, where do you think in terms of quality, excuse me, or popularity, or any of the above, really, that something like Vigilante would come in at? Personally, I recognize that it's more advanced than Kung Fu was. Like, it has moved on, both in terms of story and, like, mechanics and all this stuff. I get it. I kind of appreciate what a pure experience Kung Fu Master is, and just kind of how straightforward it is. And so to me, like, Vigilante is fun. It's like it's a pretty breezy clear, except when you know, mess up the pattern jumping at the guy. But I don't know. There's something about it that doesn't it doesn't stick with me as much as Kung Fu does. Maybe it's just my history with Kung Fu, whereas I really don't have any history with Vigilante. I don't think I ever played a Vigilante cabinet in arcades. I certainly never had the PC Engine or TurboGrafx home port when I was young, and so I didn't really have a frame of reference for it. So maybe that's why. But anyway, that's my take on where it stands. But let's see if that bears out. What do we got down here? We got anything fun? Kattobase. Nandake. Gokai Tsukai home run. So we've got like home run kyoso. So like home run battle or home run war from Jalico. I love these. I feel like these are the these are cabinets that were outside a lot in like Dagashia, like again, something you can see in like High Score Girl, like the sort of like the almost like sort of not penny candy, but like cheap candy stores that are maybe less throughout Japan now than they used to be potentially, but they certainly still exist. Like I associate these with like sitting around outside there, like the orange ones. Yeah, very nostalgic for Kung Fu and not Vigilante. I feel like a lot of people would say that, right? That's it. Again, maybe it's just my bias, but I feel like a lot of people would probably agree with that. All right, so how the billiards doing? Now that I should have mentioned earlier, we're now in 1988. We're in March of 1988 when Vigilante came out. Vigilante actually came out in the US first, according to dates. It came out 1 month earlier in the US, and then it came out in March 1988 in Japan. So 1988, apparently billiards are a lot more common and are not the trend that's sweeping America. Because what we've got, like, what do you call that? Is this foosball? This thing? I can never remember, like the things with the little like guys that you turn the handles on and they kick the ball and whatnot. Yeah, that's what I thought. Foosball. So we got foosball, we got some darts. Again, darts are one of those things I just assume like that's been popular everywhere forever, and they're not claiming that this is some sort of like, crazy Western trend or something. But anyway. That's a thing. We got darts. Pretty light on stuff over here. Nothing really all that interesting. What do we got? We got some shots of, what are they playing there? Beba. Viper. My apologies. Something called Viper. I know games that have the word Viper in them, but I cannot think of one that is just called Viper. What else we got here? American Coin Machine Exposition, so lots of pinballs. Some kind of racing track. Oh, okay, here we go. Color ads. Now we're talking. We got Galaxy Force, another a Sega classic. We got more Mahjong featuring ladies in various states of undress. Vic Viper is all I can think of. Yeah, Vic Viper is what comes to mind for me. And there's also I believe is it a Raiden offshoot called Viper Phase 1, I think? But Viper Phase 1 came way after this. So it has nothing to do with Viper Phase 1. But yeah, we got more Mahjong. Here it is. We got what? Look at this man. Look at this man outside the window. Oh yeah, okay. Anyway, we got more Waterford video games. Nothing too crazy here. More high-speed delivery. We got, oh, look at that. It's an ad for Vigilante. So the text here based on the flyer basically says 1988 New York. Madonna, save Madonna, who has disappeared into like a dark, the city of darkness, New York, the city of darkness. Just like we haven't streamed Konami's Crime Fighters yet. Maybe we will one of these days. I got to learn that game a little bit better. But that game takes place in Chicago, the area that I live in. And the flyer proclaims that this is Chicago, the city of crime. So, it's the city of crime. Well, we've got more Mahjong stuff going on here. Surprise, surprise. Almond Pinky. Oh boy. So the text here says that one day, a single man slips into Yu-chan's room, and then they Yeah, I guess they play mahjong and stuff happens. So, Yu-chan, hopefully you wanted to play mahjong. Before we look at the rankings, we'll point out another game that some of you are probably familiar with if you're beat 'em up lovers, and that is Dragon Ninja, aka Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja. Here they are. Even though Dragon Ninja is the name of the criminal organization and not these guys. So that's coming around this time. That is another game I would love to do for the stream. Just gotta de-rust on Bad Dudes. But here, let's look at the rankings. So Vigilante came in, I would say, surprisingly high for my money. Like, I'm glad that it didn't get number 1, but it still got number 2. And what's more is it dethroned Street Fighter 1. Well, this and Namco's World Stadium, I suppose, both dethroned Street Fighter 1. But like Street Fighter 1, I think we can all agree, not great, right? It's certainly no Street Fighter 2, but I don't know. I guess I would have thought the novelty of it would have persisted over something like Vigilante. Yeah, Red Spectra, NES Bad Dudes is real rough. It just moves like garbage. In some ways, it's also a little bit of a different game. Like, I think it has some levels that are pretty distinct, but like, it's just very choppy. We won't all just do arcade ports forever on this stream. We'll definitely look at some console stuff as well. So I'm sure NES Bad Dudes will end up coming in here at some point. And yes, it was more more bad than Dudes. But okay, so it knocked down Street Fighter, interestingly. We got other classics like Heavy Barrel up here. We got Silkworm from Tecmo, sorry. We've got Ajax, the helicopter shooter from Konami, not to be confused with Enerjax, who, as far as I know, is not brought to us by Konami. We've got Galaga 88, which they weren't really too sure of the romanization on at that point, apparently. Mr. Heli no Daiboken, which was localized here as Battle Chopper. I guess I didn't realize that. I always just thought of it as Mr. Heli no Daiboken. Pedal Mania, which is an SNK game I am not familiar with. We've also got good old R-Type. We've got Big Event Golf, The Deep, Pac-Mania, which I have kind of a weird soft spot for Pac-Mania, I'm not going to lie. We've got Double Dragon still kind of kicking on the charts here, like a year later, practically. So again, like a testament to the staying power of Double Dragon, even though I think I feel like we think of Double Dragon as being a game that was a lot more popular in the West. And like, God, it was. Like, when Double Dragon came out, I was 7 years old, so I was not going to a lot of arcades. But, you know, a few years later, after I was old enough to be going to more arcades, there were still Double Dragon machines everywhere. I mean, there was Double Dragon 2 by that point as well, but like, there were no shortage of Double Dragon 1 machines. Like, my local 7-Eleven, which was a source of early arcade game playing for me because it wasn't an arcade, you know, I could go up to the 7-Eleven with my parents and blah, 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 and they'd have a couple of cabinets tucked away in the corner. I'm pretty sure the first time I played Double Dragon 1 was at a 7-Eleven. For you Michigan folks, it was the 7-Eleven on Biddle and Wyandotte. Which at a certain point I was able to walk to because that's where I lived at that point. Anyway, we still got Double Dragon hanging on. We got 1943. We got Rainbow Island from Taito. We got Shinobi from Sega. Super Dodgeball, another Kunio. Nekketsu Dodgeball which is Super Dodgeball, the dodgeball game that features Kunio-kun characters. It was an arcade game first. I don't know what Pocket Gal is from Data East, but we've also got Super Contra, and shockingly, we have Akumajo Dracula, the Castlevania arcade game, Haunted Castle, that dropped all the way from 6 to 25. Now, I didn't do my Game Machine research before this, but I can only imagine that it debuted at number 6, right? And people were understandably pretty hype, like, oh my God, it's a Castlevania arcade game. And then they played it and they were like, oh, this is not, no. And then it dropped the next issue all the way down to 25 because people understood what it was. That'll get streamed one day too, but I will say, if there are any haunted castle interested people, there are some real good stories of it on the Fate of Castlevania video on my YouTube channel from some of the guests, one of which is Lord BBH. We had Yamo, the drummer from the band Phantom Iris, who was kind enough to do the opening theme at the beginning of the stream, who has an amazing story about that arcade game, and it's worth watching. Yeah, I never saw Haunted Castle Anywhere either. I only kind of found out about it later in life. So I don't know how big of a US presence it really ultimately had. Doc Mack said that by the time he bought the board in kind of like the late 2000s, it was like insanely expensive. So if that means anything about its rarity or whatever. Taking a quick look over at the upright cabinets, we've got a big one for me, the Ninja Warriors, which again is that kind of, that it uses that Taito kind of Darius style sit-down cabinet, or their stand-up versions too, that have the subwoofer in the seat. So Ninja Warriors would have been the hot one at that point. We still got Afterburner. We still got Outrun. We got Operation Wolf making an appearance here. Still got Midnight Landing hanging out. And, of course, Street Fighter. I guess Street Fighter... So what this means is the upright for Street Fighter must have been the pneumatic button one, because that was definitely at warehouse in an upright cabinet. And you would need to have the pneumatic buttons, right? You'd have to be, you couldn't do it on one of those little table cabinets. You'd break the goddamn cabinet. It would be a mess. But I'm assuming that they took that board and also put it into a table cabinet and let people play just with a joystick and buttons. Thanks everybody for checking out the video too. Couple folks in chat saying that they enjoyed the Castlevania video. I appreciate it. I learned, I think I made some mistakes in that video. I think I went way over the top with my newfound ability to interview people, and it was a little bit aimless. It did not do the numbers that the R360 video did, unfortunately, but we keep trying. Anyway, if we take a look at now, I don't believe this section was in the last one, though it may have been and I missed it. We now have a whole section in here for Mahjong videos, which should not be surprising given some of the ads that we saw earlier. And I mean, look, like there's one that's being called Tokyo Ladies. So I think you kind of get the idea about what most of these Mahjong titles are going for. So Ubersource's understanding of the pneumatic button version is something like a deluxe version that they farmed out and designed to Atari games. Yeah, I think you're right. I do remember reading, that might have been in Matt Leone's Street Fighter history article from Polygon a while back. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I feel like that might have been where I read about it. Great articles. They're still up as far as I know. Well worth checking out for anyone who wants to know anything about the history of Street Fighter. So also this year, you could live your F1 dream from Capcom. Speaking of David Rosen, who we talked about earlier, apparently he made a speech at a banquet. Okay. Jalico moved its head office. Jalico Limited of Tokyo has recently completed construction of its head office building, and it's gone to a different part in Tokyo. SNK also completed its headquarters building in Osaka, so exciting. The phone number remains unchanged, though, so you can still call SNK in Osaka. It's fine. And look at that. Closing it out, we've got Gradius. Gopher no Yabo, the ambition of Gopher. This is a game I am currently in process of learning the 1 credit clear on. Gradius 1 was the first game I ever learned. And yeah, rip David Rosen for sure. We were talking earlier in the stream about he unfortunately passed away. It couldn't have been more than a couple months ago, I don't think. Yeah, like huge name in video game history. But what I find interesting here in this is not, I mean, Gradius 2 is great, don't get me wrong. But like, look at this. So I'm gonna try and zoom in again and hope that it doesn't kill Windows on me. This cabinet, I'm not sure if this was like an official like Konami form factor for their cabinets. I'm assuming it was, but like I mean, obviously as a cabinet, it's not anything crazy, but like this structure and like this coloring and things like that, I have never seen one of these before. Very, very interesting. Okay, so before we think about wrapping things up here, there's one more magazine I wanted to take a look at. Because back in 1984 and even in 1986, when we first started looking at these first couple games, this magazine was not around. Game Machine was maybe one of the only magazines writing about arcade games, because Famitsu was around in 1986, I believe, either that or 1988, but they weren't really never covered arcade games all that much. They were there might have been like a blurb on them, but they would never review them, and they were really much more focused on the home console industry than anything else. But we do have Gamist, which is like the definitive arcade publication of Japan. Like, Gamist was what the super hardcore arcade people read. And that pretty much continued for their entire lifetime. And so they were kind of the go-to magazine for anything arcades, really. And so I think they started in 1986, but they weren't fully formed. And certainly they didn't have this yet, which is the Gamist Awards. So what they did is that, apparently that's the most I can zoom in without it taking my multiple monitor setup and going crazy. So what that did was allowed readers to like send in postcards and vote, basically. And then they have other categories that we'll look at in a minute that are more based on actual metrics, like income earned and, you know, best character and things like this. Yeah, there was Arcadia as well. I am a little bit less familiar with Arcadia. I don't think Arcadia started as early as Gamist. I might be completely off base on that. I should probably fact check myself there. But they let readers vote on these. So what you see here, the Gamist Awards, is all reader voted. And so they had 1 to 10. So I'll see if I can figure out a better way to... Actually, hold on. Maybe if I don't full screen this and I instead zoom in like this. Yeah, here we go. This is better. All right. That's probably a little bit more readable. So this is reader voted, and so they would do top 1 to 10. So going from 10 to 1 real quick, we'll just go through it. Shinobi-kun Ashura no Sho, which we talked about a little bit earlier. 1943 at number 9. Yokai Dochuki at number 8. Street Fighter 1 at number 7. Genpei Tomaden from Namco, which is kind of like a ninja, cool, like sort of ninja-themed action game, at number 6. Dragon Spirit at number 5. Outrun at number 4. R-Type at number 3. Afterburner at 2. And Darius at number 1. Which I remember, I think I translated an interview with Zenji Ishii, the who had become the editor-in-chief of Gamist. Yeah, Genpei Tomaden mentioned, right? It's a good one. But Zenji Ishii talked about how he was sure that Afterburner was going to get it because Afterburner was just such hot shit that year. And he was legitimately shocked that the readers voted Darius #1. But I think that's kind of a testament to how hardcore the people who read and voted in Gamist really were, right? And so what does this have to do with Double Dragon? Well, we're getting there. Let me see. Where is it? Ah, here it is. So they also had other categories that they kind of went over here. So they had table game best income. And so presumably this was just purely based on revenue. How much revenue did an arcade game bring in this year? And so here we've got they didn't do full top 10s for all of these. So we've got Flying Shark, and we've got Yokai Dochuki tied for 5th. We've got Dragon Spirit at 4th. We've got Double Dragon at 3rd. So it was still bringing in yen. And we've got 1943 at number 2 and R-Type at number 1. So as a big R-Type fan, no surprise at all to me that R-Type would have been number 1 on that list. And so you've got other stuff like Best Ending Awards. Like these awards change a little bit every year. Like some of them stay, like the best character is always there, best shooting, best action and whatever is always there, but they definitely don't have best ending every year. And so you have stuff in here. Some of these games I've absolutely never seen the ending for. Darius again at number 1. Dragon Spirit at number 2, Genpei Tomaden, Yokai Dochuki, Outrun, Afterburner. I've never seen the ending to Afterburner. I'm just not good enough at that game. Psycho Soldier. I've also never seen the ending to Psycho Soldier, but I guess maybe it's good. Monsterland, R-Type, and 1943 for the ending rankings here. And best character is always real fun. Like we're not going to go through every single one of these, but some of these are real fun to look at. So best character, you've got Athena from Psycho Soldier, her Psycho Soldier depiction at number 1, which that tracks. You've got Tarosuke from Yokai Dochuki at number 2. You've got, I'm not off the top of my head familiar with how to read the kanji name for the character, but you've got Genpei Tomaden, presumably the main character, at number 3. Momo from Wonder Momo at number 4. Love it. What's her name? From Kiki Kai Kai. I'm blanking on it in the it's not coming to me from the reading, but our favorite, our shrine maiden from Kiki Kai Kai there at number 5. You've got the Silverhawk, which is the ship from Darius. At number 6, you've got Ninja-kun from Ninja-kun Ashura no Sho in there. You've got Bubbaroon, which is Bub from Bubble Bobble. You've got Opa Opa from Fantasy Zone, a favorite of mine. In 1943, Mobi-chan. I don't know. Like, surely is that the plane? That can't be the plane. Like, these are games about like World War II. Like, did they really call the plane Mobi-chan? Saya. Okay, yeah. There are different ways that this could be read, but, excuse me, Saya tracks. And I completely blanked on what her name was anyway. Yeah, Psycho Soldier in the SNK 40th was great. It's the first, that might have been the first time I played Psycho Soldier, actually. And generally the player popularities kind of line up. I don't know what the difference between player popularity and just the Gamist Awards is. Like maybe they measured player popularity by some other metric that wasn't specific to their magazine to get this player popularity, and then the Gamist Awards were obviously people who mailed in postcards. Sayo. Okay. Yeah. And again, that second kanji can be read as ya or yo. So that's the wonder of reading Japanese names, everyone. You love it. So that's Gamist. And so I wasn't sure how far I was going to get with these on the stream. So I'd prepared a couple more, but I'm running up on time for myself here. So I think I am going to wrap it for baby's first stream here. Way more people showed up than I thought. I am just really glad that I was not one of those people who started streaming to an audience of like 1 or 0. I think I could have dealt with that just fine, but I can, understand that getting eventually demoralizing. And I guess the fact that I did YouTube videos first probably helps with that, huh? Thank you. I'm glad you love the game magazine segments. I really want to make these like a key part of these streams because again, you can watch people play arcade games and more skillfully than I can in many places. So I really want to give people a reason to come here. And I think, my ability to parse through this and translate some of it is as good of a reason as any. In addition to just kind of, trying to play skillfully. I would like to do it. So yeah, I have a general kind of placeholder schedule on Twitch, and I'll be updating them to YouTube as we go as well. Yes. So Tuesdays and Thursday nights are my go-to days. Is kind of what I'm planning. The Twitch schedule is kind of just filled out to have placeholders for those. We won't do this exact same format every time, but I think for Thursday we'll probably kind of continue on with the beat 'em ups just to kind of round out the first week. But yeah, Tuesday, Thursday nights, I'll be posting about them. Schedules there on Twitch. I'll be scheduling them on YouTube. I think you got to do onesie twosies on YouTube as far as the scheduling goes, or else when you start the stream, it like starts the next one. It could potentially start the next one or something. I'm not the way you connect to streams on YouTube versus the way you connect to streams on Twitch is honestly kind of weird. And I'm still kind of trying to figure out the best way to handle it. A Kid Nicky 1cc. Oh God. All right. So is Kid Nicky, hold on. Is Kid Nicky the one that was the Gegege no Kitaro? No. Okay. Kid Nicky was Kaiketsu Yanshamaru. So that one I'm not, it's been a long time since I played that, so I won't make any promises, but we'll see. But I was thinking of, what did they localize the Gegege no Kitaro game on the Famicom as? It was like, was it Kid Ninja? Or like, oh God. Hold on. I have to answer this question for myself now because it's going to drive me crazy. Ninja Kid. Yes. Yeah, I just got the order of the words flipped. Ninja Kid is what it's called. So yeah, I am by no means an expert at that game, but I have played the Gegege no Kitaro game on the Famicom. I have the cartridge actually because I'm a Gegege no Kitaro fan, though I haven't played too many of the games actually. So let me see if anyone is streaming. So if the folks on Twitch can potentially, we can do a raid for somebody here. Let's see. Okay. Who is on and what are they playing? All right. I think since she is on, we'll end the YouTube stream in a moment here because ain't no raiding on YouTube. That is not a thing that exists. So we will actually go over and raid Skybills for anyone who wants to stick around. Skybills, for those of you who don't know, was in the Castlevania video as one of the speedrunner guests. And she's doing a series called YOLO recently, which is her kind of version of 1 credit clears. Sometimes she does them 1 credit clears. Sometimes she does them deathless. It really does kind of depend on the game for which one she actually does. But let's see if we can raid her. Sorry, this is baby's first stream, so I am figuring this all out as I go. All right. I am going to start this raid, and then I am going to end the stream. So again, thank you very much for coming, everyone. Hopefully see some of y'all Thursday.